Hello, Durud and Shalom, and Hola, and Namaste.
And marhaba.
Hi, everyone. And Marhaba. We don't have
Hello.
any Arabs here. Hello.
Yeah, I'm like I'm the Middle Eastern analyst.
Oh,
So
okay. Marhaba. And do we say salam, salam or marhaba? Marhaba is like welcome, no?
yeah, okay. If it's a low, then it can be salam or ahlan. Also, it's like it also has a welcome meaning.
Welcome.
But then assalamu alaikum has a Muslim meaning. So we'll have
Okay.
to figure out which one to use.
Yes. Atheist Arabs, tell us how you greet each other in the chat. All right, guys, look at this. We're expanding. We have an Iranian, a Jew, an Indian, and a monkey for some reason. We're multiple nationalities, ethnicities, but also species. We're very diverse. The most diverse panel. I challenge you. What other panels also go interspecies, right?
I'm
also
representing
mixed.
the people that don't want to show their face.
Said you're mixed species?
I'm one species. I'm monospecial.
Okay.
But I am I'm half Indian, half Latin. My mother is from Latin America.
And you're married to an Israeli.
Yes. Moroccan Israeli.
Moroccan.
So we're already cross-pollinating.
Wow. So you have connection to Latin America, India, America because you're American, Morocco, and Israel. That's
Indeed.
Very international.
I'm a mess.
Beautiful mess. All right. So, we got Sherry. Thank you so much for the super chat already saying welcome all. Well, thank you, Sherry. Appreciate you saying that. All right, guys. So, you guys know Guy? You guys do we need introduction? No, right? Everybody, you guys know everybody. So we could just get started. So we're gonna go through a series of videos and we're gonna see what your opinions on them are. The first one is Emily Schrader posted this. Emily Schrader said, JD Vance himself is not America first. The irony. This is what happens when you cozy up to the Islamic Republic's lobby. I have no idea what this video is. So let's just play it and see what we think about it. But Emily is not impressed.
So if there's a final argument here, it's that we have to accept that there are trade-offs. America cannot manufacture enough weapons to support 4 different wars in 4 different corners of the world. We just can't do it. We can't do it in part because of the decisions made by my bipartisan colleagues of the last 40 years, but it's the reality that we live in, which means that we have to pick and choose. We have to identify where our interests are most important, and we have to try to divert American foreign power to focus on those particular things. And this is why I think it is so important that for the next 30 or 40 years in a world of multipolarity, look, China wasn't built in a decade. It's not going to be unbuilt in a decade. Even if we wanted it to, we have to recognize that Chinese industrial power is here to stay. Okay. So what are we going to do in that world? I think, again, that world of multipolarity, that means that we want the Israelis and the Sunnis to police their own region of the world. We want the Europeans to police their own region of the world. And we want to be able to focus more on East Asia. You can't do that if you're not willing to make trade-offs. And every single day in this town, I see the weird ways in which this current leadership is totally unable to make trade-offs. When I made this argument probably 6 or so months ago among my Senate Republican colleagues, that there were, for example, only so many artillery shells in the world, and we couldn't send them to Taiwan, Israel, and Ukraine at the quantities that they want because there aren't enough to send there. So we're going to have to pick and choose.
Okay, thoughts?
When is the date? What is the date of this?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think the important part is what's in the background. This is the Quincy Institute.
Yeah.
Oh.
So I recall him speaking at the Quincy Institute. I believe it was before the election.
It sounds like before the election based on what he's saying.
So Emily is resharing it now, right? The post is from July 21st. And the
But
original
it's
post
not
is
clear when
saying,
the video is from.
okay, yeah, that's a good question. So okay, yeah, that's a good question. So the original poster, oh, I know this poster saying, you're right, he's Dugan. Okay, he is Dugan is an enemy of the West. He promotes a world of multipolarity in which America gives up its status as the world's superpower. You know who else promoted the worldview at the Islamic Republic's lobby? The Quincy Institute. At the Quincy Institute, Vance did. So is Vance connected to the Quincy Institute? But did he speak there? Because that is very damning if he did that. Is that true?
He
did-
did speak
I
there.
mean,
I believe it was before
It's in the background. It
election.
says Quincy Institute.
Yeah.
He's connected to Twitter
Oh,
Parsi.
yeah,
We know
yeah.
that already.
Yes. So like, isn't this like an anti-American institution? Why is he speaking there?
Yeah, it's. I
So-
mean, it's. I would say that I'm sure the Quincy Institute would dispute that characterization. But from my perspective, it is. I think the Quincy Institute is involved in promoting this idea of multipolarity, and it's doing it, one, to protect the IR, and two, to undermine American hegemony. So I think it's that's my view of their posturing. Although that's, I'm sure that they would claim otherwise.
Yeah, so they're advocating, like,
Sure.
officially they're advocating foreign policy restraint. It's just that, I mean, their connections to Parsi and therefore the Islamic Republic are undeniable.
I believe
So-
Parsi is the founder. Is that right?
Yeah,
Yeah. I mean,
I
he's
think
the
so.
he's the main dude there.
So, like, what is the response? What is the steel man for him working with institutions that are clearly Islamic Republic's lobby in the United States and being influenced by them? Like,
I think
what
it's
is
not.
what is,
So I think it's clear to us. I think it might not be clear to him. And it's a policy form that is aligned with his foreign policy agenda broadly, and the kind of thing that the new right and the isolationists would advocate for. Okay, so this is from 2024, from
May 23.
So
Okay.
according, yeah, sorry, I was saying it was on May 23rd, 2024.
Okay,
why
what
is-
I
I
would
mean,
say
why
on
did-
this is the multipolar view is a problem. This is something that's set forth by China. They want to be the other pole, not Russia. Russia can't do it. It has no way to do it. It wants to share the world with China. I also find it troubling that he said Sunni. That's a religion, right? He wants Israel to share the Middle East with the Sunnis. Why would you share with a religion, especially when you know the tenets of that religion are expansionist and basically colonial?
So
They're
I can
after
defend that.
empire.
I can defend that. Broadly speaking, this is American doctrine. This is like the epitome of what America strives for, is to have, when he says the Sunnis, he's talking about the Sunni moderates. So like UAE style, or at least that's, I mean, I think Rubio would say roughly the same thing. You want the responsible countries to police their own area, and so that would be Israel and UAE and Saudi Arabia. I think, unfortunately, that he's also putting in that bucket Qatar and Turkey. So
And
that would
Egypt
be the
and
problem.
Jordan.
Yeah, but Egypt and Jordan are not really sovereign themselves at the moment. They're
But he
both,
would include them in that category.
yeah, which is fine-ish, because I mean, they are under the Saudi umbrella. They're not self-sufficient countries. That's what I meant. Like,
Yeah.
I think there's a lot wrong with them in terms of what they're teaching their population, but the leaderships are, broadly speaking, responsible and restrained. And actually, Egypt has a secular military dictatorship as opposed to a religious one. So I can steel man this argument, and I think it's broadly, like, when they say the Sunnis, this is broadly what American foreign foreign policy people mean. They mean like the Gulf states and the other countries that are broadly on the American like under America, and so you want to have a broad umbrella, which is what you need the Abraham Accords for, where you have Israel leaving peacefully with these countries because they're not going anywhere, and sort of being the police of this region against Islamists and against security threats. Like that I don't have a problem with. Broadly, I think his statement is broadly true. The issue is the context and and he likes to use broadly true statements, sort of like Fuentes. They're not the same by any stretch of the imagination, but he likes to use broadly true statements to advance things that don't necessarily follow from those broadly true statements.
Yeah.
Well, in the scenario where you're steel manning it, I understand that position. But if you're not steel manning it, the concept of a president accepting another world power when we know the aspirations of those world powers is ridiculous, or a vice presidential candidate, if we're talking May 2024, to advocate for a multipolar world is ridiculous. Like, if you're going to stand, oh, he meant this and we're trying to steel man it, that's fine. We do that with Trump all the time. But if we're not steel manning it, say what you mean. If you mean Saudi Arabia and Israel, or if you mean the Persian Gulf allies, say that. But to say Sunni is religion. And that's a problem, because you can steel man it. Oh, he really meant this or that. And I do that sometimes too. But I completely, absolutely reject all of his statements, not just about the Sunnis, not just about the multipolar world. This is, to me, the clearest evidence I can bring to say that J.D. Vance is a traitor and that we should call him J.D. Pence.
So you've been. I would like to say one thing again, because I know that we're all anti Vance and pro Rubio. And we all think that Vance poses some sort of danger. I do want to,
but not on
bounce it out a bit,
everything.
but-
I mean, Vance
Yeah.
Vance is like good on migration and some other stuff.
internal
like
policy.
corruption.
Fraud.
Yes, yeah, fraud. Yes, okay, but go on, Guy.
And so you can say a cheap shot would be takes one to no one against Vance. That's why he's so good on it. But no, that's just a joke. But broadly speaking, like what he actually said in this clip, nothing from that doesn't follow a multipolar world. So what he said in this clip is true. It's just that the U.S., and this is something that Amu Jeff has also said to us. There is a broad munitions issue where you just can't. The American manufacturing, because of what has happened over the last few decades, because the manufacturing is so bad, they just don't have enough to share around to the extent that they would need to police everything. The solution would be prioritizing in a way that keeps the balances in check while you're upping, as opposed to then let's just sell Ukraine to Russia and Taiwan to China, or Israel to the Islamic Republic, or whatever. Like, seems to be what the problematic formulation of this is that would follow. But the statement itself is true. The issue is, okay, so what do you do about it?
Okay.
All right, so Sid, you go. You have the last word, and then I want to move to the next video. Go on.
Oh, okay. Well, then, all right. I wanted to parse it, but if we're just moving on, then I'll just say I largely agree with Guy. I think that if you just look at most of the facts that he laid out, I would basically say that they are defensible. But I think that the conclusion that he draws from that is problematic, and it's problematic not just from the standpoint of American security in the immediate future, or the security, global security in the immediate future, but also for America's long-term prospects economically and militarily. So I think that basically he's drawing the wrong conclusion, whether this is kind of intentional or not. I think he's drawing the wrong conclusion from the correct facts. So the facts are right,
yep,
and the conclusion is off, and the implications of that incorrect analysis, let's say, is, I think, really bad for America and for global security.
All right,
agreed.
so let me go. This okay, we got 2 super chats. Let me quickly read those. Leo, thank you so much for the super chat saying Sunday fun day with all-star panel this morning. Thank you, Leo. That's very sweet.
Thank you, Leo.
And then we got Shaheen with a super chat saying Javid Shah Reza Shah Dovom Pahlavi Sevom Ramz Piruzi Enqilab, which means long live the king, King Pahlavi the second, Reza the second Reza the king, and the third Pahlavi is the key to a victory for our revolution. And thank you, Shaheen. Thank you for the super chat. All right, let's get a quick update now that more people are here. Let's get a quick update regarding where we are at. And then I want to see what your opinions are on whether we are in a good place. United States position against the Islamic Republic is in a good place. What's your prediction about what's going to happen going forward? What the current strategy is? Do you agree with the strategy? Do you disagree with the strategy? So let's just get a quick update on this.
Hey, Rachel, good morning. Monday will mark 60 days since the Memorandum of Understanding was signed between the United States and Iran, and technically it is set to expire. Reports indicate very little progress on a diplomatic solution to reopen the Strait of Hormuz and address Iran's nuclear ambitions. This weekend, Iran continued attacks in the Strait. On Saturday, a bulk carrier reported being hit by an unknown projectile. A day prior, an Emirati oil vessel was also targeted. President Trump spoke on Friday about the conflict with Iran and the Strait of Hormuz.
After we finish defeating Iran, which is being very badly defeated, pretty soon I'll be declaring the Hormuz Strait a territory of the United States. Essentially, that's what we have. The blockade. No ships get through unless we want them to.
With a focus on Iran, we're also tracking the latest developments between Israel and Iran-backed Hezbollah in Lebanon. Hezbollah violated the ceasefire over the weekend, wounding 3 Israeli soldiers. This prompted Israel to launch a new round of airstrikes against targets in southern Lebanon.
Hezbollah committed 2 major violations today. They struck Israeli troops who were operating in the security zone in contravention of the ceasefire agreement. And then when Israel responded, they moved civilians inside their terrorist headquarters. They used their own civilians as human shields so that later on they could point at Israel and say that Israel is targeting civilians, which we are not doing.
Overnight, the Israeli military warned residents in northern Israel to be prepared for loud explosions along the border as operations against Hezbollah continue. Rachel?
So I think that, I know this might be an unpopular opinion because a lot of people here want the United States to escalate soon. But I think there's a chance that this is actually the best strategy by the United States. I think the United States has figured out that they could, with very little cost and very little use of their munitions, just maintain a blockade plus the economic fury operation by Scott Bessent. They're doing so much damage to the Islamic Republic without neither escalating or de-escalating and just staying here. And the news in the United States might be covering this less now because it's like old news, and it's not going to politically, it's not going to be that much of a cost if they just maintain the current status quo for the Islamic Republic. Financially, it's not going to cost the United States that much if they just maintain the status quo. And the Islamic Republic is being, destroyed from the inside with very little effort. And I think that it's working because there's a lot of signs from within Iran that it's working. The Islamic Republic is extremely desperate. And there's 2 sides right now within the Islamic Republic. One side that is so desperate to actually make a deal work to the point that they're making it, they're banning Death to America chants inside the holiest places in Iran. Like you could say death to Israel, but they come crack down on you if you say death to America. By the jihadis, they stop you from saying death to America. But the another side that thinks that this is devastating, and the Americans are just sitting by while everything is breaking apart, and we need to go back to military operations soon, but in a regional way, not just the Islamic Republic, not just in Iran. and they want to get people, Shabi, the Houthis, Hezbollah involved, and they're trying to get Hezbollah to attack Israel. The Houthis, they want the Americans to go back to military operations because they think that they're slowly dying the way that the whole negotiation, everything is a trap. Americans are not actually interested in a deal at all, and the only way to do this is to go back to war. But that's based on my understanding of what I'm seeing from inside Iran. But what do you guys think?
I have a question. Why did he say deal with Hezbollah? The guy before this, he said, no, after they signed the deal, after the deal with Hezbollah, they did this and this and that. I said, when did Hezbollah sign a deal? What is this deal with Hezbollah?
Oh,
It didn't.
I don't understand that.
Good catch.
Yeah, no, it
wasn't.
didn't.
He said it wasn't this guy, it was the guy before him.
Yeah. So there's as much a deal with Hezbollah as Israel was part of the MOU with Iran, meaning Hezbollah is a party. I think it was a he misspoke.
So the deal was with
Hezbollah is affected by the deal. Hezbollah is expected to do certain things by the deal, or the deal is expected to affect Hezbollah, but Hezbollah is not a party to the deal. Now there were ceasefires that it is supposed to adhere to, if Israel is expected to also cease fire, and to the extent that Israel, the guy before that I think was actually the Israeli, I think.
Exactly.
Okay, so the deal is not doesn't include Hezbollah, but it lays conditions for what has to happen for Israel to not keep striking Hezbollah. And so it does have
responsibilities
incentives.
for Hezbollah?
Hezbollah has incentives to not overstep the boundary, because if they overstep the boundary, what happens to them is what happened to them in the last few days in the Ali Tahrir Ridge. So the deal says that Israel is not going to advance further into Lebanon meaning also further into Hezbollah territory, and it's going to hold the line, the yellow line or the expanded yellow line or whatever, the line that it's in right now.
I mean, can we hear what he said again? What the guy said from Israel? Because that was weird as hell. I don't understand what the hell he's talking about. He very specifically said, that guy, that's the guy.
Yeah.
Airstrikes against targets in southern Lebanon.
Hezbollah committed two major violations today. They struck Israeli troops who were operating in the security zone in contravention of the ceasefire agreement. And then when Israel responded, they moved civilians inside their terrorist headquarters. They used their own civilians as human shields so that later on they could point at Israel and say that Israel is targeting civilians, which we are not doing.
You get what I mean?
Okay. Yeah. So, but the way he stated it is actually, he said Hezbollah is doing things that are in breach of the agreement.
Yep.
Yeah.
Agreement,
meaning that there are conditions in the agreement between Israel and Lebanon that as long as Hezbollah doesn't do X, Israel is not going to do Y. Well, Hezbollah did X, therefore Israel is going to do Y, and this is agreed upon by the Lebanese government. So there,
he's framing it like Hezbollah is the person who broke the deal.
Not Hezbollah did things that are in violation of the deal, which is true. That's a an accurate descriptive statement. Because the deal says Israel is not going to advance as and strike Lebanese land as long as Hezbollah doesn't do Y.
But so, Guy, after you finish this thought, but then let's go back to what the original point was, which is where we are at between the United States and the Islamic Republic, what the strategy is, whether you think it makes sense, and where we're going. And then you comment on this, and also Sid hasn't been speaking, so let's try to get Sid involved in this as well. But go on.
Okay, so basically, the phrasing was actually accurate. It sounds as though Hezbollah is part of the agreement, but it actually isn't, and it's just an accurate statement for what the agreement is. As for where things stand, I agree with you, and for what it's worth, the former chief of Mossad also agrees with you, Armin, that this is the best course of action. Because he said, I think you talked about this a while ago, that he said that if the blockade continues for a few months,
7 months.
Yeah, and what he said was it was in May, and he said that if the blockade continues, the Islamic Republic will fall by the end of the year. So it didn't say it's going to take 7 months. It's going to take. He said it's going to take up to 7 months.
So we had a removal of the blockade, and then we put it back on again now, right? So I don't know,
right,
if his calculation changes based on the fact that we removed it for a little bit. I mean, to be fair, the Islamic Republic didn't make much from, didn't gain anything from that, did it? Because all the money that was supposed to be released for them to buy food and stuff from Americans is now in an escrow account and never got released from them. So we should be on the same track if that number is, if that 7 by the end of the year should not have changed, given that the blockade removal didn't give them any advantage.
Especially if the main issue is oil, because that money was used to buy food, specifically and explicitly, not oil. And I don't think they managed to get back any. So there were ships headed to China, but then turned out no one bought it. Okay, I'll stop speaking. Don't have to be passive aggressive about it.
Yeah. Okay. No, go ahead though. I'm just kidding.
Well, now I don't want to talk. No, okay, so I'll say one more thing, which is I have a bit of a reservation because we've been here before. That Scotty B's promise is a threat, and then at the last minute they're going to announce a deal. For the reasons are, one, there are still talks ongoing. Like Pakistan and Qatar keep saying, "Oh, we're so close to peace. Oh my God, we have peace. Like we're this far from peace." And also the video that you talked about with Ali yesterday, for like, why would the Islamic Republic be fearful of attacking Trump verbally if they're not in talks?
Yes, exactly. I will play that video soon, so that people know what we're talking about here as well. But Sid.
Yeah. So basically, I think I would not say I'm on the record exactly, but my first interaction with this group, the first time I ever spoke, was after the stream, and Monkey was there. And I announced myself as a blockade guy. I like the blockade. I would say, just add to this, I'm not a military guy. I'm probably the least least experienced militarily of the panel. So I don't have any expertise here, but I just like the vibe of the blockade. And I think for the reasons that you said, Armin, that I think it's a sort of a low cost, high pressure, high leverage, low cost action. Now I think that when we're not active kinetically, or let's say less active kinetically, I think Iran is less in the news. So it is better for Trump and the administration politically than bombs, right? And at the same time, I think it drives the IR crazy, because then they have to deal with their own shit and all their own personal divisions and professional divisions start to come to the surface. So I think that they are very. I also think that bombs can only accomplish so much. And I think, Armin, you've also said often that internal division is sort of like the best indication that things are going in the right direction. So, yeah. So overall, I've been very pro blockade, but I will just add one element to it, which is something also that you said, Armin, which is that the sort of hot and cold, on and off roller coaster is more damaging to the regime. So that's a possibility too, that's part of the process. So I do think that the hot and cold is politically damaging to the administration in the US, right? Because it comes across looking confused, right? And looking, I would say, like impulsive. But I feel like it's possible that there is a sort of a political chicken going on, a game of chicken, where in both cases, internally, this conflict is damaging politically, right? So the conflict is damaging to the administration politically, and it's also damaging to the IR politically. And the question is, who's taking more damage, right? And if the idea is, if the IR is taking much more damage, then this is a damage that the administration can afford to absorb if there's a positive outcome, in the near future.
Right.
I'd like
Okay,
to speak on the tentacles because I didn't really talk about the military side.
Yes,
I'll
go
try
ahead,
to keep it
Mikey.
short. I know we're up against the clock here. The thing about the tentacles is now right now we have a triumvirate, and Turkey might need help with the PPK, so they have their little deal, and Pakistan might need help with Afghanistan, so they got their little deal, and the Saudis might need help with Yemen, that may not have their little deal. People like to say this is about Israel, but let's be real, who they're actually fighting. So that's a good deal to have them fighting whatever tentacles are around that might try to go into Iran if there's a fall of the IRGC. I think that's good. Dealing with the Houthis, dealing with Hashd al-Shabi, dealing with Hezbollah is a good thing. So this isn't just a blockade. It's blockade plus.
Yeah, and Monkey, do you think that because you were saying that you wanted some military escalations before the midterms, do you think now that maybe the blockade, this strategy actually might make more sense?
I think it's too late.
Oh, it's too late. But right now, based on all more information that we have, do you think that going this route makes actually more sense compared to, the going all out and doing military? Given all the new information that we have, that maybe the Trump administration did pick the best route.
No. I still
Okay.
stand by at the time going all out. Sometimes offense is the best defense. They can't attack every other country around if they're like going through a devastating, basically crush of their military, of every facility. And if then we do the recognition of like we can't deal with these people, we want to establish a transitional government and then go through the 3 cities in the South, I still think that's the best option. I just think we're out of time for that.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So, Monkey, I see you start some comments before I show you the next video, but I think 3 of the comments are about the previous video. Maybe the 2 comments that are about this topic. Do you want to address those?
I started some of them.
Oh, okay. So,
any.
Guy, you want to? Okay, cool. Guy, you want to address the ones that you started?
So also about the previous one?
No, the previous one, I think like we moved past that.
Okay.
So the ones that you started.
So one of them is about something that presumably will happen later.
Okay.
About like Egypt and Kushner and the Board of Peace and so on, if we'll get to it.
Okay.
So basically the main one is Jodo is saying economic sanctions like air power only have never won a war either. So what do you guys have to say to that? Like to collapse the regime, to get the uprising going, eventually you need some sort of kinetic action, be it from bombardments or with people on the ground. Like
isn't the economic sanctions on Saddam help to didn't that help with the eventual fall of Saddam?
What about the Soviet Union?
That also involved strong. I mean, Saddam specifically also involved a little bit of military action, just a smidge.
Well, we're not saying that this is enough, but it's creating the ground. And also, Monkey brought a good example: economic pressure with Soviet Union also eventually led to the fall of the Soviet Union. But
and other Eastern Bloc nations.
Yeah, exactly. So we do have examples of it working. And also, it's not the economic, and it's, by the way, it's not economic sanction what the United States is doing, because I think economic sanctions underselling what's happening right now to the Islamic Republic. Like this is a level of isolation that has never happened in history. Like we are like we're suffocating the Islamic Republic. It's not, sanctions doesn't do it justice.
And that's before Scotty B's promise, which he should reveal tomorrow.
Yeah. It's going to be challenging. It's not going to be that easy because, again, I know people say they don't care, but China, this is going to put United States and China at odds with each other over these sanctions, because a lot of it is United States being able to push back against Chinese companies that the Islamic Republic uses as loopholes to sell its oil and gas. So a lot of these are going to be based on how United States is going to be successfully pushed back against these Chinese methods of allowing the Islamic Republic to sell its oil. So this would be, we'll see. But yeah, again, if anyone could do it, it would be the US.
Agreed.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So we got some super chats, but let me show you guys this video. I think Sid hasn't seen this yet, right? Guy, so Monkey, did you see it from Ali's? I played this on Ali's show yesterday.
I might have seen it.
Okay. So, guys, this is in Iran, in the city of Mashhad, in the shrine of Imam Reza, Imam number 8 in Islam, right? This is also the shrine where Ali Khamenei was buried in, right? And somebody is chanting. Okay, so look at this. Let me just play it and translate. So he's chanting death to Israel. All right, so far, normal. Then he says death to America, and the security guy is like, shh, no, shh. It's okay. Guys, this is one of the most Shia places on earth, and the jihadi security guy comes to him and like, no, we don't say that here. Okay. So the guy is like, why can't I say that? Why can't I say that? Why can't I say death to America? Like only salavat. You only say salavat here. Salavat is like salala, salala Muhammad. Allahumma salli Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. So that's what they're saying, right? Only salavat. So now he says, who said that? So the guy who was chanting death to America, like, who said that? Who issued the fatwa that I can't say death to America? Which marja? Which religious authority has decreed that I can't say death to America? So they're arguing with him. I don't know what they're saying over there. So he started changing his chant. It's like, curse be upon the bastard Trump. And they're like, oh, no, we don't. So they surround him like, no, you don't say that here. Okay. So okay, this is in Iran. Okay, guys, this is in Iran in a Shia place. Okay. I'm like, so stop saying that. They're reading Quran here. You have to respect the Quran reading here. So he says, guys that killed our supreme, and then it gets cut. So he was saying like I think what he was about to say is like the people, like we can't curse the people who killed our supreme leader. So guys, this video shows that right next to the burial ground of the supreme leader, you cannot curse the people who killed the supreme leader. Apparently you cannot do that. So you can't do that in United States. You can insult Trump, but in Iran, apparently you can't. You can't insult Trump in Iran, apparently. So there you go. Okay, thoughts?
I have a question.
So,
is it typical to do that here? Like, do they get that political inside a mosque over there? Is this very typical? Like in America, you can love Christ and be against, the Islamic Republic, but you're not allowed to yell it at a church because you're disrupting.
No, this is Shia center. If there's any place that you expect to hear death to America, would be here. In fact, you saw at the beginning, they didn't stop him when he was saying death to Israel. Only when he said death to America. See, like, look at this. So no issue. If everybody
Well, they
else
turned their back on him. They didn't even care.
No. It's actually, hold on. Let me see. Let me explain. Not only did they not tell anything, everybody else is also repeating. Right? Look at this. Everybody else is repeating, death to Israel. Shh.
That's when they turned around. Oh my God.
Yep. No.
Were they?
Okay.
Were they standing next to him already? Like maybe they heard him starting the chant and then started walking to him. Like also already when he said Magbar Israel, and then like is this the person?
Is that not him?
No, that's a person behind him. Yes. Right, and it looked like he was just walking. Like maybe he started already before that because he didn't want any chant.
Maybe they got to him. Yeah, that's a good observation. Maybe he was on his way.
Yeah,
stop him.
Do those two follow each other usually?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Like Magbar Israel and Magbar America.
The two chants. Yes. Yeah, but this is but chanting death to America and death to Israel in a shrine is normal. Like this is like
no, but like he heard him and said, "Oh, I know what comes after this. Let me grab him because I know what he's gonna say next," and went over and grabbed him.
So, this I don't know if the restriction is only on death to America or both. Probably even if it is on. I think it's death to America, and if they're going to restrict death to Israel, is to make it seem like they're just being consistent. That's what I think, right? So if they restrict death to Israel as well, it's because they don't want to seem like they're only restricting death to America. Their excuse would be, this is a religious place, and we don't want to be cursing and insulting. That's the excuse, right? So if that's the excuse, then it has to apply to Israel as well. But what I'm telling you is that this was not the rule before.
Oh my God. I mean, this chant is their religion, basically.
Yeah, it is their religion. Yeah, exactly.
Like, this is the religion at this point.
Yes, death to America is the religion. More than Islam. Yeah, you're right. The axis of the resistance is more their religion than Islam, which means death to America, death to Israel.
But is separation of church and state haram?
Oh, of course. There's no such thing as separation. Like the whole legitimacy of the government comes from Islam. The head of state based on the constitution is not even the supreme leader. It's the Mahdi.
So the security is being very haram.
Yeah. So I think this is puzzling either way, right? So whether they're restricting death chance against the U.S. only, or whether they're restricting death chance to both Israel and the U.S., it's very puzzling. I mean, I think my first thought is like, why would these? Is it Basij, these or whoever these enforcers are, right? What do they think they're accomplishing? Either way, right? Like, okay, they're stopping this guy. What benefit does it have to the regime? This guy doesn't chant this, right? I have no idea. I think it's really inconsequential either way. He can chant or he can not chant, and it's not really going to make a difference. If let's say this is a top-down policy to only curse Israel, I could see a justification for it, which is like basically all of the pressure and all of the blame is being directed at Israel because Israel is small. And there is perceived division between the US and Israel. So can we exacerbate that, right? Can we sort of indicate through our chanting that Israel is really the problem here, this is like the Trita Parsi perspective, right? Look, Israel is really the problem. Like, if we could just sort of like cut Israel loose, let them deal with their own problems, and then we can have a very constructive relationship with the IR. So yeah, okay, so that maybe that's a possibility. Again, I don't think this chant is really going to make a difference either way, but I can sort of see that as a top-down approach. The other, though, the top-down ban on cursing, it does seem like this could be really damaging for morale. So like, the few supporters left, like they need to demonstrate that they're still in the fight, like, we're death to Israel, death to America. We're still down, we still come, we still pray, we still curse our enemies. We're still here. You can bomb us, but we're not going to stop chanting. We're not going to stop cursing our enemies. We're not going to stop fighting. So this seems to be like, at least from that standpoint, from the standpoint of maintaining the support of the sort of hardcore, this seems counterproductive.
Yeah. So here's what I think it might be happening. Trump had communicated that in the negotiations with the Islamic Republic, he did ask the people he's talking to, he demanded that they should stop showing so much aggression to the United States, not just in action, but also in the
rhetoric.
Yes, exactly, right. So this has been a demand by President Trump, and to me, this is Ghalibaf trying to show President Trump that he's trying his best, right? And or even if they're so here's the thing, this is the reason why this is a big deal, is because I know for a fact that all the jihadis are going to take these videos, this one video, and spread it everywhere as proof that there has been a coup d'etat and the Zionists and Americans are ruling over them, and the Islamic Republic has fallen and it's not Islamic anymore, and we need to rise up against it, right? However, it also might be a 5D chess being played here by Ghalibaf, okay? Because you're like, okay, well, this is going to backfire. Obviously, trying to silencing the jihadis, and then them seeing that they can't even say death to America anymore, is going to convince them that the regime has been taken over by the Americans and Israelis. But again, I'm not saying this is the case, but it also might be the backlash from the jihadis might be a way for Ghalibaf to try to show to the Americans, like, look, I'm trying. Look at what I'm dealing with. Like, my hands are tied. Like, look, the level of backlash I'm getting internally shows that I'm doing so much, right? Or else these people wouldn't be angry with me, right?
Like a
The
staged
level of
virtue signal?
Well, it's real, but it works as good as stage. The anger is real against them, but he kind of pokes at them and get the anger to show to the Americans that I must be doing the most that I possibly can, or else I wouldn't be facing this much anger. Does that make sense?
Yes,
I mean, you're still demonstrating you're not in control, but yes, it makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, one way to look at it is I'm paying a political price for my cooperation with you, so cut me some slack.
That's a great summary. Yes.
Bingo.
That's a great summary. All right.
What would be the point of doing that, though, if they don't think there's a chance of a deal? Like, he being, let's say it's Ghalibaf.
Well, Ghalibaf is trying to buy time, stay in power, keep the support of the Americans as their guy within the Islamic Republic, because without the Americans having some investments in him as the inside guy, he doesn't have that much power behind him, right? So, for example, right now, he's facing a lot of challenges from the Supreme Leadership Office. They're now making moves against him, and his power is now getting reduced a bit. So he needs the Americans' military threat. For example, if I was Ghalibaf, I'm like, hey, I'm the one that's saving your life, because I am the one who gets you on a no-kill list I am the one that tells the Americans who to kill and who not to kill inside the Islamic Republic. I wouldn't say that directly, but I would like that rumor to be around. So you need to bend the knee to me. And if I was Ghalibaf, I know that my power is conditional on the Americans being here. So I would be desperately trying to find ways to make my power more permanent and lasting and not dependent on the Americans being here while the Americans are still here. So I need to buy time to be able to make that happen. Make my power more deep rooted rather than so reliant on the Americans. I don't think it's going to work though. We'll see.
So you don't think there's a chance we'll wake up tomorrow to a brand new deal of opening the strait and
we
to buy
might.
time until after
It's
the
not going to
midterms?
mean much.
No,
Yeah,
I
we
know.
might. Yeah, okay. Yeah, we might. About a new agreement, probably. We might go through a series of these, but we'll see. Anyways, let's do. Monkey, did you want to add anything before we do the super chats?
I doubt we're going to wake up to any news of a deal for at least, I don't know, 2 weeks, a month. Until after Scott
Yeah.
Bessent does his thing. And his thing has time to take effect.
I mean,
That's
would
why I
just-
put it at 2 weeks.
That's not a lot of time though. That's pretty soon.
About a week or two.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. You go and sit.
Hey, just one thing. I would just add that I don't think anyone would have. I mean, even if a deal is announced, I don't think anybody would have even an ounce of faith that that deal is legit. I'm saying not the IR, not the US, not Qatar, not Pakistan. Nobody thinks that this deal, if it's announced, is going to last more than a few days or a week.
So before I read the super chats, Guy, I see 2 start comments. Did you want to address them before I read the super chats or no?
So the 2 start comments are like a whole different topic. It's about the Board of Peace. If we get to it.
Okay,
this
so
would
then
be-
unstart them then, because I thought if you don't want to go to them, then unstart them.
Yeah,
Alright, so
I mean, we can go. I figured we'd go to them like maybe eventually after we're done with the other topics.
Okay,
But
all right. So I'll just do the super chat. Bobo is with the super chat saying 5,000 Israelis left Israel, mostly liberals. I don't know what this is
50,000.
referring to.
so
50,000,
I think this
okay.
is Bobo is my my most reliable super chatter on my streams. I assume this is directed at me. Israelis, there have been waves over the last few years of Israelis leaving, going to live abroad and so on, and they're larger than waves before. And depending on your position, and presumably most of them are, let's say, left leaning or center left, like they're on the anti Netanyahu block, and so like some of this is a war. This war is the most we've been existentially threatened, and people like just thought we were safe. I was the same way before October 7th. And for some people, they're like, "Oh, okay, wow, this is actually I have options, so I'm gonna move." For some people, it's I don't recognize this country anymore because I've been convinced that it's turning into a non-liberal democracy by the government. They're trying to do judicial reform to take over the institutions, to make it just a majoritarian democracy. And I don't identify with the country anymore, so I'm going to leave. And this is a problem. There's an escape of minds, but presumably once the war ends, a lot of people will return. And there are, depending on what the next government is going to be like, there's going to be an effort to bring people back.
I would just add one thing is that, and I don't really know the numbers, but just aware anecdotally of Jews from the diaspora moving to Israel during this time as well.
Yeah.
So I don't know what that is, but it may be actually quite significant number that's offset the ones that are leaving.
Yes, we're going to have to deal with a lot of immigration and remigration. And also, a lot of these people, if they feel unsafe in Israel, just wait until they get to the West. They have this illusion that the reason people hate Israelis now is just the the policy of the government, as opposed to, oh, we now feel emboldened to say what we've always thought about all Jews. And so they quickly realize that no, you don't understand. I'm against Netanyahu. Is not going to leave that big of an impression, and so they'll be. I see this as a short-term thing that, and eventually will have way more of an influx of Jews coming into Israel. I agree with that, Sid.
Yeah, we would celebrate 50,000, 500,000 liberals leaving anywhere. Like, I'd be breaking out. Let's play the Havanaglia, dubstep remix. Let's go.
Well, yeah, I mean, actually, this is one of my big frustrations, where people who hate America don't leave, I wish they would. Like you looking at, for example, Venezuela before the Maduro extradition. I mean, Venezuela was bleeding people. And yet they're like people with a sort of Chavista ideology here in America, complaining about how bad America is. They say, well, you can help them out, like Venezuela would love people, especially people bringing wealth. So, it would be great if anti-American Americans would move to China, for example.
You want communism? Go. There are places that have it.
Yeah. And not only there are places that have it, those places have negative net migration. So the people are leaving. You can help offset that, right? You can help offset that, and you can help demonstrate the success of those systems.
And I do just want to clarify, a lot of the people who are leaving now are not, like, it's not the same. It's not they're anti-Israel. They feel like Israel. They feel very, like, some of them. We're very patriotic, but we feel like Israel is going in a dark place, and we don't want to be a part of it. And so that would be like their framing of it.
Okay, let's go to the next super chat. Ghalibov with a super chat saying, "Why is no one except you guys talking about the 400K oil slick?" I don't know, because I thought that that's going to be a big deal for the water desalinations, plans by the Arab countries in the, around the area as well. But you guys heard about this, right? There was a significant incident where, like, there's a lot of, the Islamic Republic hit an oil tanker in the Persian Gulf, and it basically unleashed like a large scale oil leaks, like over many kilometers.
It was pretty obvious.
Which is really, is really bad for marine life there. But also, I mean, maybe I'm exaggerating this or not, but I don't know how big of a deal this is, but I thought that this is the primary drinking water of the Arab countries comes from water desalination, and if at some point the water that gets too toxic, then we might be talking about millions of people, like one of the greatest mass exodus of people out of a region in history. But maybe I'm exaggerating how big of a deal this is.
So why did Greta Thunberg stop caring about oil and start caring about Hamas? Because the leftists are hypocrites. They don't care about the environment. Not if it's the IRGC destroying the environment. They're biased, hypocrite scumbags.
Yeah. So here's what I think. Why it might not be that big of a deal. So oil and water don't mix, and apparently that's both types of oil. And desalination plants, a lot of what they do is filter out the water from excess stuff. So I'm no expert on this by any means, even though I'm Israeli, so I'm expected to be. But I think those places, those desalination plants, go through a lot of filtering, and through that filtering, you're going to get the oil out anyway. I think.
Everything you just said is wrong. The Persian Gulf is a very shallow body of water. You could have some of that in the deep sea, but not in the Persian Gulf. That's number one. Number two, it definitely does affect desalination. And all that water, all that oil does not just stay at the top. We had a discussion about this, deep discussion about this. I don't remember what his name was, but someone in the discussion group studied this stuff. I wasn't aware about it either until I was corrected. Like, I'm not trying to put you on a bad spot because I thought what you thought. But what was explained to me that there's two big problems in this. Desalinate, this is terrible for desalination. And because of the particulars of the Persian Gulf, because it's not a very deep body of water compared to like a deep blue sea, it is a problem. And also these people cry over a smelt not being able to like it's gonna get like these people, these tree huggers are extreme. They like to throw soup cans because people, use a car. So like even if it was a little, if they were true to their beliefs, they would be screaming their heads off, number one. And number two, it is a problem. Like, I'm not going to say it's the end of the world, but it would affect desalination.
So I just looked it up.
And it's a shallow basin.
I just looked it up, and Monkey is right. It says desalination plants cannot filter out heavy crude slicks because petroleum chemically destroys reverse osmosis membranes and contaminates distilled water. Facilities must halt operations and close intake valves immediately to prevent irreversible infrastructure damage across the Persian Gulf. So holy crap, that's big. That seemed like a big deal. Yeah. All right.
Okay. I was wrong.
And then we got some jewels from BuildTube, 200 jewels from BuildTube, and 2 jewels from Samantha. Thank you so much to you both.
Thank you.
Appreciate you guys. All right, so you guys know about people saying that the soldiers at the USS Abraham Lincoln are not treated right. They have food shortages. Some of them wanted to jump off board and stuff like that. That has become a major big news, bigger than I thought it would be. Is getting a lot of attention. So here's a response to that by Marine Joey Jones, who deployed to Afghanistan and lost his legs, and he is now talking about that. So let's see what he has to say, and if you guys agree or not.
You know what I ate in Afghanistan for 6 months on a burner with using a little burner? I ate ramen noodles. I had to pull the seasoning packet out because I had too much sodium in it, and I put tuna packets in it. That's what I ate. And you know what? I was happy to have it because the alternative was an MRE or something cooked by the Afghan guy who was too stupid to be given a gun, and they let him be the cook. And so if I wanted something spicy, test my fate a little bit, I'd go get a bowl of whatever he made in that giant, urn thing that he had. I mean, how weak are you on TV complaining about tuna and noodles? I'm sorry. You volunteered to serve your country. You can come back, get out of the military, and do like all of these Democrat veterans and complain about it and make commercials and be a sellout if you want to and come up with a new way of doing things. The last Democrat president that I remember that was deploying troops, Barack Obama, had the army going to Iraq on patrol bases for 15 months at a time, eating MREs. I'm sorry, but you're a sitting duck on a patrol base in Iraq, in Afghanistan, a heck of a lot more than you are on a fortified Navy ship sitting in the water. You might have got bored, and I'm sorry. We did have more fun getting in firefights, I'll say that. But to sit there and say that it was terrible because you had a corn dog and a hot dog, I would have traded a block of C4 to the Taliban for a hot dog by about July 2010. I just do not understand the mentality. If this is a representation of who our military is now, and I'm not saying it is, but there's at least enough for some of these trash rags to print about it. If this is who we are, we're just Rome sitting here waiting to burn. We've got nothing left. It makes me fume. If he sat there and said, we didn't have any clean water to drink, we couldn't take a shower. I mean, well, I didn't get to take a shower for about 6 months, but still, something that has something to do with hygiene or, like getting sick. There was a scurvy outbreak and, the guys that were missing legs were only given wooden pegs instead of metal ones. Then maybe I might have some sympathy. But to that little kid and whoever raised him, Lord, help you if you ever go into a hot war on the ground like millions of Americans have. I can only think what a World War II veteran sitting there who's lucid enough today to see that and think about the 6-month journey home from fighting the toughest war we've ever fought after being there for 4 years was thinking, listening to him complain like that. The Secretary of the Navy put out his response. That's my response. End of story.
Clay,
All right. Thoughts?
I'd like to say this confirms what I was saying. Tuna and noodles is not typical mess hall food. This is food you get from the PX. So this is optional extra food. What I suspect and what I have said before is there are more than one giant, kitchens where you can go get food, and they're available at certain times during the day. You can just go over there and eat, right? That's not a problem at all. What they may be low on supply is M&Ms, tuna, stuff you cook for yourself in your little area. That's what may be low. That's why would they say noodles and tuna? That's what I'm thinking is going on. Go ahead.
I'll just say, so I haven't been following this story that much, but in general, like I was just part of the war for the last 3 years or so, however long it's been. Yeah, almost 3 years. The amount that the average soldier in the IDF was doing without complaining, because they knew that they had to, because they were called to duty because we're under existential threat. Knowing that and then hearing these reports is it reinforces something that we sort of all know, which is that young people in the West just don't understand how good they have it. And that if you're a soldier, that has implications. If you're a soldier, you're expected to do things. You're expected to not have a cushy life. I know people who went house to house, risking their own lives in order to find hostages, in order to eliminate threats to the places where people live around Gaza that have already been massacred at that point. And you're on a fortified ship. Your life is not in any danger. Don't be stupid, basically.
Yeah,
Thank you for your service. I love it when Israel is strong and has strong people.
Thank you,
Thank
Mikey.
you for your service. Go on, Sid.
So I mean, I guess I'm somewhat skeptical about how widespread this sort of delusion or this disillusionment among the sailors is. Is it? I think that. I mean, I feel like this sort of taps into a demoralization campaign where the media blows up like storms in teacups. In order to make us feel bad, right? And in order to project this idea of American incompetence, and I think this is not to say that there's no problems, but I do think that small problems are blown up, and then people run with it. And it's intentional. And I want to say, I mean, something that I said 1,000 times already, but I think that whether this particular incident is an example of this, there has been a very deliberate, multi-generational, decades-long effort by the Muslim Brotherhood and by the IR to infiltrate this sort of soft underbelly of the West, which includes the NGOs, academia, and media. And to use Western media as a platform for demoralization. So this is an accomplishment. Like, this is something that they have done, and it works. Like JD Vance said about China as an industrial power, and we can't change that overnight. We cannot change the sort of anti-Western slant of Western institutions overnight. We have to start doing the hard work now. And I think this sort of taps into what Guy was saying also about young Westerners being effete and not up for the challenge. And I think that there is some truth to that. But I do think that there are people who are up for the challenge. They are, but they're constantly being demoralized, right? And so this is our own institutions failing us. And they have to. I think they ought to point to the possibility of American greatness. We can achieve great things. We have achieved great things, and we can achieve great things. And that doesn't mean that the media and the institutions should not be critical. They should be critical, but there's a difference between critique and demoralization. And I think that a lot of demoralization is happening uncritically.
Amen, brother.
Can I steel man the Navy a second? This is what I think might be at the core of this. When a seaman calls home, you might have a very short amount of time to talk and very few topics. And you're like, yeah, how you doing? No, I'm good. Are you sure? It's a little rough. I know you've been out there for a long while. They run out of tuna and they ran out of noodles. But the person hearing this, on the other end, that's a civilian, doesn't understand that they're talking about the PX and these are amenities that are optional. And it's like, if you're asking me, well, that's the only thing I can complain about. It's not a big complaint, but the person who hears it doesn't understand that they're not talking about the mess hall. And it's not such a big deal. It's just, I'm answering your question. But to you, this is the only thing you know for, I don't know, a week at a time. That's when they have the time to call, because they're on video or audio lockdown and you can't really get messages about. So they take that little information and they make a big deal out of it, even though the soldier or the service person wasn't even trying to make a big deal out of it. It's just a common conversation. There's 5,000 people on that ship, right? If 100 of those conversations get out, it starts to sound like a big deal, but it was just an offhand comment. That's my steel, man. Like, maybe they're not demoralized, but it was interpreted that way.
You guys, go on, my guy, and then you. I don't know. You start.
I
start.
Yeah, so I start I start Amir, and then the comment before Amir. If you want to respond to it, then
no, you go ahead,
or we can skip it.
No, go ahead. So okay, here. So
Yes.
This comment you start saying, the Jew doesn't understand that Iran is not an existential threat to America. It's a threat to Israel. Okay. This is this is actually the best. Yeah. So I know why you want me to respond to it. So first of all, this Jew, okay, so shows you the type of person you are. And also the amount of hate that exists globally against the Jews. So thank you for making that clear. People who want to make the Islamic Republic seem an Israeli problem, this is the type of people they are. So we know. So thank you for making that clear. But also,
and I prefer religiously challenged.
Yes. Okay. So again, so you don't understand Iran. You have no idea what you're talking about. I grew up in Iran. And since childhood, in our school books, in our school programming, in our children's TV programming, and for many years on a wall, I remember a wall that I used to walk by every single day going to school, except Fridays, which school was closed. We were constantly reminded that the goal is to destroy United States. We were told that United States is the big Satan and Israel is the little Satan. The Islamic Republic on day one declared war against the United States and promised that one day it would destroy the United States. The Islamic Republic waged war against the United States, not just by words, but also on day one, by arresting, kidnapping, and holding hostage the American embassy staff inside Tehran, without completely unprovoked, because the Carter administration back then was actually signaling to the Islamic Republic that they want to cooperate with them, to the point where their politicians went and participated in the Islamic Friday prayers as a sign of good faith. Neither America or Israel actually was showing any aggression to the Islamic Republic, and the Islamic Republic declared war on both, in both words and actions. And ever since, they've been chanting death to America. And the Islamic Republic has killed more Americans than any other existing regime right now. So the whole point of, by the way, the reason is it's actually the other way around, because a lot of people think that the Islamic Republic attacks United States because United States supports Israel. It's actually the other way around. The Islamic Republic attacks Israel because Israel supports the United States, because the goal is the United States and Israel is in the way, right? So they attack Israel for the same reason they attack Pahlavi. Pahlavi, the goal is to bring down the current world order backed by the United States. So step one was to destroy the representation of that world order in Iran, which was Pahlavi from their perspective, right? And then you get Iran, you start using the resources of Iran to expand your Islamic empire, your Islamic, your Islamic revolution, export the revolution. And they use this word, export the revolution to everywhere in the world until all rule is Allah's rule. They say this, right? And then step two is to go through Israel. If Israel was not there, they consider Israel to be a cancer tumor in the region that is not letting them expand to the whole world, right? They think Israel is there to stop them to eventually get to the United States. And I mean, Israel is actually, well, every time Israel is killing one of their enemy, they're also killing America's enemy. And none of this is secret. I mean, just because you're ignorant about what the Islamic Republic is trying to do, this has been, they tell us this. They have advocated for this, and they said this is their mission from day one. The Islamic Republic their mission has never been to rule over Iran. If you look at the revolution of 1979, the whole point was to liberate the entire world, starting from Iran. Khomeini himself said that this has never been about Iran. He was against celebrating Iran, because for him, this was always about Islam, not about Iran. Taking Iran, using it to keep expanding, taking the region, taking Iraq, taking Saudi Arabia, taking all the Arab countries around the Persian Gulf, then going all the way to Jerusalem, liberating Jerusalem, and then keep expanding until the whole world falls under under their rule. They chant that one day they're going to turn the White House into a Husseiniya. This is something that they brag about. This is something they chant about, but this is also in their fundamental literature of their so-called scholars. This has always been advocated for, and it's within the DNA of the Islamic Republic that they're at war with the United States, and everything else they're fighting, they're tentacles of the United States that they have to cut.
And to add to that, so if the regime gets a nuclear weapon, that's really bad news for America, right? And to preempt a response that we'll probably get, well, you've been saying their time from a nuclear weapon for years now, and that time has passed, and they haven't gotten nuclear weapons. Something that is important to understand, and is very easy to get if you think about it even for a second without assuming, oh, the Jews are liars. It's not you're going to count time and then a nuclear weapon is going to appear. It's whenever they're like 2 weeks away from a nuclear weapon, doesn't mean they're going to have a nuclear weapon in 2 weeks. It means that if they sprint for a weapon now, it will only take them 2 weeks, meaning that we'll have a shorter window to stop them from getting a nuclear weapon if they go for it. And over time, they've slowly lowered that time so that they would be able to sprint to a nuclear weapon. Hopefully for them, they'll be able to sprint to a nuclear weapon before they're able to be stopped. And once they have it, then they can't be stopped, because now they have the ultimate deterrence.
Yeah, so the strategy of Ali Khamenei, which is different a bit from Mujtaba Khamenei, is that instead of having a nuclear weapon, we create the conditions that, like, we have this and we have this, and we put them so close to each other, and the world should know that we could do this and have a nuclear weapon, right? So because Ali Khamenei's calculation is that if we actually have a nuclear weapon, the whole world will come and turn against us and attack us. But so instead of actually having a nuclear weapon, let's create a condition. And you know that you can't hide this from the Israelis. They will find out that you have a nuclear weapon. But the next best thing to have the deterrence of a nuclear weapon is to create a condition that we're this far away from having a nuclear weapon at all times, that the world knows that we might not have it, but if we get attacked, we could basically immediately have it. So that way, we will still have the deterrence capability of having a nuclear weapon without a nuclear weapon, because the Islamic Republic, unlike what many people say, is not interested to just go out and drop nuclear bombs on different places, right? They want the deterrence capability to then be able to keep expanding without, and the world will saying like, okay, we can't do anything about them. So they want to expand slowly and take over the world rather than just go out and drop nukes everywhere, right? But they think if they have deterrence capabilities of nukes and biological weapons and proxies and everything else, then they get away with it without much consequences. They want to be more like North Korea rather than Libya, right? That's their understanding. But that was the old strategy, because now that they got attacked anyways, they're like, okay, let's build a nuke. That deterrence was not good enough. We actually need a nuke now.
Yeah.
Can I add to that? I want to thank you for pointing out all the people that the IRGC, the Quds Force, and their proxies have attacked America. And Iran's nuclear program is like taking a shit. You have to keep wiping because you keep having a shit. They keep doing shit. So we keep having to bomb them. We keep having to kill their scientists. We keep having to arrest their spies. We keep having to bomb their fucking facilities because they don't stop. Just because you heard it once doesn't mean that every time that they said it, an action wasn't taken, right? There are, I'm looking here, at least 20 scientists killed or targeted. Sabotage by Stuxnet, Olympic Games sabotage for the centrifuges. The 700 plus, according to Iranian reporting, suspects were wait a minute. In 2005 alone, foreign spies agents uncovered or arrested 700 plus in 2025 alone. And that's worldwide. So these people don't stop. Like I have it's an AI breakdown, but it goes over all the actions that they take towards a nuclear program. And they have been doing it for decades. You've been hearing it for decades because they didn't just try once. They keep trying and they get stopped. They keep trying and they get stopped. That's why you keep hearing about it, because they keep trying. And thank you for pointing out all of the Americans they killed.
Yeah, I'll just add one thing. Beware of the term forever war. Okay, forever war is a term that's thrown around a lot in Western political discourse, and it's usually used as a sort of critique of American foreign policy. The problem is that the IR has declared a forever war against the world. Okay, so we can just let them, or we have to fight them. And the foolish notion is that they only want to be left alone. That's totally counter to everything that they say and everything that they do. It's totally counter to that. They show over and over again. They've been showing it for years. They have global intentions. They have intentions for global domination. It's a revolutionary movement with intentions for global domination, very much like the Soviet Union. We can't just let them do it. Unless you want to live like the people in Iran are forced to live. If you want that, fine. But if you don't want that, you have to understand that we have to win this war.
Yep.
Yeah, perfectly said. Okay.
So actually, I called it just right. Like kindly F off came back and said it doesn't mean they can. They keep saying they're a week away from nukes. So actually, I absolutely called that this would be the response.
They're always a week away from building a nuke, and the reason why they don't. Okay, so they didn't. Okay, so they're not a week. Like sometimes they're 2 months, 2 years, 3 years, and it keeps getting resetting. And sometimes they're 2 months away, and then you hear the next time they say, okay, now they're 1 year away from a nuke. Do you know why it keeps changing? Because Israel keeps destroying their ability to build nukes. So this is why you should be thanking Israelis. The reason why that number keeps changing is because Israel kills the scientists. Israel keeps destroying their enrichment uranium ability. They keep bombing. They keep destroying with viruses, with assassinations, with explosions. That's why it keeps changing. So that is actually why you should be grateful to Israel.
Yeah, the technology to create a nuclear weapon is not new. It's old. Okay, this is World War II technology. It's available to people. Okay, so it's not really about that. It's not really, we can't stop the spread of this technology. It's out there. What we can do is we can prevent the capability, right? The physical capability to enrich and to create weapons, and Israel has been doing that, and because of Israel has to do it, and I think that we have to realize that a nuclear armed Iran, a nuclear armed Islamic Republic, is an existential crisis for the world.
Yeah. Yep. Pretty well
It's
said.
not just
All right, let's go-
America, United
Yeah, go ahead.
States, London, Austria, Georgia, Czech Republic, Canada, Switzerland, Netherlands, Turkey, Spain. All of these, Germany, France,
The
all
Arab
of these
world.
nations arrested Iranian spies, made actions against the Iranian spy program. I understand that we respect Israel. We thank them. They've probably done the most. But people are going to say, oh, that's just Israel. Israel hates us. No, 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 no. The whole planet, governments all around the world know about Iran's nuclear program, and governments all around the world are against it. It's not just us. It's not just because American Israel biased. No, 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 motherfucker. It's everybody.
Well said. Well said. All right, guys, let's move to the next topic because this is what the title is, and I want to make sure that I get to it before Guy has to leave. Okay, so Laura Loomer posted this saying President Trump posted this on Truth Social last night. He's calling the Islamic communist candidates in Michigan and Minnesota jihadists. Ilhan Omar, Rashida Tlaib, and Abdul El Sayed are jihadists. It's time for the rest of the GOP to adopt this language. Yes, I agree. So, I've been saying this for a long time. So to adopt this language, stop calling them socialists. Well, you should call them jihadists and Marxists because socialists, yes, socialist is too soft, but Marxism is as dangerous as jihadism. So don't stop calling them Marxists. But Marxists and jihadists, I think I like this. Yeah, jihadists. What do you guys think?
I think this is both a descriptive and good marketing. They are literally doing jihad by trying to take over the US covertly. Jihad doesn't have to be immediate boom booms or immediate violence. It can also be this. So they are jihadists. They're trying to advance Islam against the West by running in the elections. And this is language that is scary, and it's appropriately scary for most people who hear it.
I like
Yeah, I mean,
Islamo-commies, but I like this too.
Yeah, I mean to be yeah, exactly, because in this is actually Islamically accurate what you just said, because in Islam jihad is not just military. Jihad is anything that furthers the cause of Islam and helps expand Islam. It could
literally
be
means
about
effort.
writing. Yeah, it literally means effort, right? So the best jihad is jihad in war, like that's the best part of it, like, but there's so many other jihad as well. There's so many other, you could, like, if you're educating children with Islam, as they say, that is jihad, right? If you're doing YouTube videos on promoting Islam, that is jihad as well. So they're based on, if these people call out and say that this is Islamophobia, they're being anti-Islamic. If they come and say this is Islamophobic to call us jihadists, they're being Islamophobic. I know, by the way, guys, I know Islamophobia is a made up term that doesn't mean anything, but we could be like, what? Why are you offended? You're offended being called a jihadi? Shouldn't you be proud of being a jihadi? Isn't that a fundamental part of the Quran? You should be like, yes, I am a jihadi. Thank you for recognizing that. Like, you're being anti-Islamic if you don't celebrate jihad.
So that's haram.
Like, yes,
you can't be anti-jihad. It would be haram.
It would be haram. It would be against the commandment of Allah to be against jihad. It would be a direct violation of God's commandment. Monkey, it is beyond haram, because in Islam, if you do something haram, then you could either ask for forgiveness or get punished for it a bit in the afterlife before you go to heaven. So, for example, if I'm a Muslim and I drink alcohol, okay, I sinned. It's haram. Okay, this is way more than haram, because in Islam, if you deny the commandment of Allah, you have left the fold of Islam. If you sin, you have not left the fold of Islam. You're still a Muslim. So if I'm a Muslim and I eat pig, I sinned, and I'm still a Muslim. If I'm a Muslim and I have sex outside of marriage, I've sinned, but I'm still a Muslim, right? But if you deny the commandment of Allah, so here's the difference. Let's say this is alcohol, and I drink it, and then monkey comes to me like, you're a Muslim, why are you drinking alcohol? And I'm like, yeah, I know, I shouldn't do that. That's a sin. It's my weakness, okay? Then I'm still a Muslim. But if monkey comes to me and if he says to me, you're a Muslim, why are you drinking alcohol? I like, that's okay. We can drink. That's not God's commandment. Then I'm denying God's commandment. If I do that, then I can be takfired. I am no longer a Muslim. So
You'd
if
be an
you
apostate.
deny that, yes. So if
It's
I
apostasy to
that-
deny jihad.
it's apostasy to deny the commandments of Allah, according to Islam. So if I deny that jihad is a commandment of Allah, then I have left the fold of Islam.
Interesting. It's good for a debate tactic.
Yes. Yes. It's takfiring. Go.
So
You go. Yeah.
Yeah, so I would say, like, I mean, I get what you're saying. I think that, and it's interesting because you're forcing me to look at it in a different way. So, technically true. Okay, let's say it's technically true based on, based on so. There are different kinds of jihad, right? We know that we understand that. There's so there's the jihad of the sword, and there's jihad of the ballot box. There's jihad of the womb, right? So we've heard
Yes.
this. We've heard this stuff before, so we understand that technically there are different ways to conduct jihad, and the ballot box is one way to conduct jihad, particularly in the West, right? In the abode of war.
Yeah.
And I think it's also interesting, the idea that, like, as a pushback, you can say, well, what do you mean? Are you saying that jihad is pejorative, right? Why is jihad a pejorative? Why should anybody be offended? Why should a Muslim be offended by being called a jihadist? So I think that's those are good points, and that's very interesting perspective.
Okay.
But I do think that just on the flip side, like just from the political standpoint, I do wonder if this is good politics, because the sort of average American has a sort of vision of jihad, right, which is more the jihad of the sword, and that's not what these guys are doing. And so it gives them a kind of an out, right? Like, it gives them a way to sort of position this as let's say bigoted language. So and we'll see. I mean, it might work out in his favor. It might not. But I do think that there's a value in understanding what these guys are doing, as opposed to the jihad of the sword, and to be able to sort of to be able to frame it and define it. And so I think that, like, let's say one thing I think that they're doing, that all of them have in common, is they're doing apologia. They're doing apologia for violence, right? So they find ways to rationalize and excuse jihadi violence. And they will use sort of Western language, like these are oppressed people, or these are resistance, people resisting oppression, and they're resisting ethnic cleansing and genocide and so on. So, like, they will use it, but the idea is they form a kind of a layer of obfuscation. The obfuscation is, right, okay, the violence happened, but why? Let's go to the root causes, right? So basically, like, let's not focus on the act itself. Let's focus the attention somewhere else. So I think this is something that they're all doing, and whether they are participating in the jihad of the sword or not, they are providing a function. They are providing a function that enables it, that makes it much more palatable to Western audiences. And this in itself is dangerous, and it's anti-American.
Monkey, do you want to add anything to that?
I think it's good to force the discussion. One of the things that Trump does as a bull in a china shop, it forces the discussion. Oh, well, that's not jihad. Well, what is jihad? Now you have to talk about what is jihad, and that leads to people having this conversation, at least those who are open to conversation. The ones that aren't open to conversation, well, we're not worried about them. We can't do anything about that. But the ones that are open to a conversation about it, you can trigger them into having the conversation, or you can make the ones that have some kind of doubt kind of like look into it. So from the standpoint of forcing the conversation, I see the value in it.
I would agree with that, Monkey. I mean, I think that this is something that I appreciate. Like, I do think I have my issues with Trump, but I will say that I do think that there's a value in his sort of political provocation. And there are some times where there's so much etiquette that forms around a sensitive topic, and that we can't really have a proper conversation. And sometimes the etiquette just needs to be smashed, because there's not a sort of a delicate way to get at the real truth here. So yeah, I think Monkey has a strong point there.
I also just like to add that, like marketing in general, you have to know how to compress a message, how to like reduce its dimensionality, because most people don't have the bandwidth for the kind of subtle analytical discussion that we're having here. And Trump is a master at that. And it's a really hard skill. And I think, like, at the end of the day, because this is true, and a lot of people will, just by hearing it, will associate these people with jihad, which they should, because they are connected. For a political messaging, as much as it might sound simplistic, it just is the right way to do it, with regards to the bandwidth that people have for political messaging.
Awesome, guys. We need to move on, because I want to make sure that we get Guy on the next topic, because it's Israel related. I don't want to hear what.
So can I take a quick bio break? I'll be listening, but to talk about it, and then I'll come back and respond.
Okay, go take a bio break, because the next one is Israel related. We did get a super chat. I hope Guy is hearing this, because this is very nice super chat. Sayed is saying, this is one of the greatest communities to watch and listen to. Great job, guys. Thank you, Sayed. That's very nice. That's very sweet. I love. Thank you, Sayed. That's very sweet. Yeah, this is a good panel. I like this panel. Thank you, Sayed. That's very sweet. That's, yeah, makes it so motivated. Makes it, comments like that really motivates me to continue doing what we're doing. All right, so this is what I have next. And the reason why I'm not going to play it right now is because it's very Israel related, and I want to hear what Guy has to say about it. But before we play this one, and also read the caption, let me just see. Oh, Flying Robot Duck, thank you so much for 100 joules. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for that. Let me see. Okay, these are comments that Guy starred. So let me see. Maybe I could play something else before we go to that. Let me do a 50-second video, so that maybe Monkey could respond to this before Monkey and Sid, because this is more American. There we go. All right, so Rohana posted this thing. When ICE agents shot Lorenzo Salgado Arau, I don't know how to pronounce that, a construction worker, a 52-year-old father with 3 polite, well-behaved kids, they shot the American dream, abolish ICE. So I think we could play this before Guy comes back.
And when I say we stand with workers, that includes our friends and neighbors who prepare our food, build our homes, and care for our children. That is why we must abolish ICE. It is a cruel, rogue agency. It is a agency, and you know this, that murdered Lorenzo Salgado, replaced ICE with an immigration agency like we had from the New Deal until George W. Bush that works under justice. Here's what I want to say about this. When they shot Lorenzo, and I don't know if you saw his kids, well-educated, polite kids. When they shot Lorenzo, a construction worker, a 52-year-old father with 3 polite, well-raised children, they shot the American dream. That's what they shot, those ICE officers. And when I say...
All right, so quick responses to this before we go to the video, because I want to make sure we get to the next video before Guy has to leave.
The American dream is equality under the law. What the Democrats want is what they have wanted since they fought for slavery, an underclass with less rights that gets less benefits. As an illegal immigrant, you don't get paid the same wages. You have less defenses. And if your boss says, you got a zipper dive or I call ICE, it's really difficult to deal with that, right? So you're under threat. You are in a significantly lower position, and you are second-class citizen. And the scum known as the Democrats have been fighting for slavery. They fought for Jim Crow. They fought for the KKK. They fought for forceful sterilization of us, lesser classes. That's where Margaret Sanger and Planned Parenthood started. And what these Democrat filth, disgusting, dirty, filthy bigots want is an underclass. They want an underclass. They have switched from making it racial to make it class. They want an underclass. Before they wanted an under race that they had to give less benefits to and that had less votes, but they could represent. Now they want an underclass, but they have not changed a single thing about their policies. They changed the marketing. They are still against your individual right to own and defend yourself and your property.
Yeah.
Okay. Guy and Sid, anything you want to add? Or should we go to...
So I'll add that, I mean, Monkey's basically right. It's more inflamed than I would put it and more generalizing about Democrats. But this statement, that was absolutely disgusting. The people who make our food, the people who raise our children, because we don't have time to do that. That was a mask off moment of I won my slave labor. That's absolutely what this was. And I hope Ro Khanna is not representative of Democrats at this point.
Armin, can you just go out of the full screen and show Ro Khanna's profile description on Twitter? Team America, economic patriotism, America's next New Deal. Okay. No foreign war. Tax the billionaires, no foreign wars, no aid to Israel. And this guy is just posturing. It's just so full of it. Team America, I don't think so. Okay. I mean, okay. So Monkey said, and I think it's an important point, right? Illegal immigration is a challenge to the rule of law. And America's strength is rule of law. And I know it's not perfect. I'm not disputing that. I know it's not perfect, but it is an attempt. It is an attempt to maintain that, which I think is what makes America great. So what happens is you just look at it from the perspective of people who want to come here legally. The people who want to come here legally wait. They don't come. Okay, they wait because that's the law, and they don't want to disrespect our laws, so they wait. And then Ro Khanna says, no, we need to reward the people who do disrespect our laws, and that's why we shouldn't have any enforcement. I mean, if there's no ICE, what enforcement is there? Okay, and so he talks about economic patriotism. I mean, and then what Guy was talking about is, we want to continually import an underclass. That's what we want to do. We want to have an endless supply of cheap, exploitable labor. And that is our economic patriotism. I mean, it's economically retarded. Okay, this is just economically retarded, and it has nothing to do with the working class, because what happens is it increases the supply of cheap labor at the expense of the working class, and this is what's been happening. And so it's an artificial downward pressure on working class opportunity, right? So we pay in a market system, we pay what it's worth, and if there's a high supply of cheap labor, then okay, that impacts the whole thing, right? So it would be very different. You know, people say, oh, Americans don't want to do these jobs. I say bullshit. Okay, Americans don't want to do these jobs at these prices that are artificially pushed down through the importation of particularly illegal immigrants. Okay, that just doesn't work. It doesn't work. And so what I think that Ro Khanna is doing is not economic patriotism. It is economic sabotage.
Maybe
All
he
right.
wants to keep the Shudra.
All right, I'm going to move to the next topic before
Armin
we
knows
lose
about
Guy.
the caste system, right? I don't know
Yes.
if Nathani knows.
Okay. All right, let me just move on. So because we need to read the super chat, and also need to make sure that we go to the next topic before we lose Guy. So F, thank you so much for the super chat, saying if the argument is organization did something bad, organization did a bad thing, we must abolish it, then 99% of governments, corporations, institutions, militaries, countries, organization, technology would be gone. Yeah, I mean, you're right. That's a good point. Like, oh, they did a bad thing, so let's just get rid of them, abolish them. That's a good point. Yeah.
Yep. Doesn't make sense at all. Doesn't make sense that we have no border enforcement. That's, of course, reform it. Of course, it could do. We could do a better job. I'm sure that's the case. But the idea of no enforcement is just it's totally brainless.
Okay,
All
I
right,
know
so
what this
let's
is.
go to this. Oh yeah, okay. So let's go to the next video, and I want to see first. I want to see what Guy's response to this is. So the caption was interesting. The caption is breaking: Christian apologist makes an IDF soldier admit that he killed children. It's time to ban all Israeli citizens globally. All right, so let's listen what this video is.
People did you kill?
Okay. Now,
How many people did you kill?
Zero.
Why can't you
Actually,
zero?
zero.
You served in the
I
military and you
served in the
killed
military.
zero
Yes,
people?
That's the idea.
Where
Because
did you serve? What were you?
I actually served.
Where did you
also
serve?
In Gaza.
What did
and
you
also
no
the
what
West Bank.
was your role? What was your
A
role?
commander and
A
fighter.
commander?
And I didn't kill.
So
yes.
who did you command to kill? How many people
All
did
right.
you command to get killed?
I'm happy that
Did
you
you
are
ever
actually
command
asking
for a
those
bomb to
stupid
be dropped?
questions.
Did you ever command for a bomb to be dropped?
All right. Yes. Actually.
Yes. So you killed people. So
Right.
you just lied. Again,
Ugh.
I just caught him in a lie. He just lied.
Yeah, well,
Where did you command for
Great.
bombs to be dropped?
All right. So
Where did
we're
you
gonna
command
play
for
this
bombs
game.
to be
What
dropped?
about
Where
the
did you
definition
command
of
for
it? Why
bombs to
we're
be
not
dropped?
talking about
Where
the
did you
definition of
command?
terrorism?
Why do you not
Why
want to
you're not
answer
doing
this?
this?
Did you
Why
ever
you're
command
saying
for a
this?
bomb to be
Did
dropped
you
in a
actually-
school?
Did you actually support terrorism?
Did
That's
you
why you don't
ever
want to talk?
did you ever
Did
command
you
for a
actually
bomb to
put
be
so
dropped
much
in a
gel
school?
in your face in order for me to see your
Oh, now
eyes?
you got to attack me,
Yeah,
my
but you've been
appearance.
attacking me for 2 hours, bro.
I'm asking you. This is
So I'm
relevant.
asking you,
You
I'm asking
served in
you,
the
I'm
military.
asking you a
You
simple
were
question.
calling them the
What
most
is a Palestinian? You
moral
can answer
military
me.
ever.
You can answer me. What is a Palestinian?
So here's the thing.
What is a Palestinian?
The reason why he doesn't want to
What
answer my
is a
question
Palestinian?
is
It's
because
unbelievable. He
this
can't
guy
answer
this guy literally
Okay,
bombed a
fine.
school, and he won't deny it. Denied that you bombed a school.
I personally, in my command 20 years ago, did not. But if
You personally, you hear what he said? He
Yes.
personally did not. He had somebody else do it.
hold on. Oh, you hear what he said? He said
My
that I
God,
personally claimed to do it.
this
Okay.
guy's a genocidal
This guy
freak.
is a genocide.
Okay.
People did you-
What did I just watch? Okay, Guy. start us
Okay,
off.
first of all, let's talk about who the guy on the left is. The guy on the right is irrelevant. In general, like he's a joke. He's been a joke for a while, trying to grift off of anti-Israel stuff. The guy on the left is the fiance of Emily Schrader. He's a Christian who was an IDF commander. So that's the first thing. This is not a Jewish person. This is a Christian person. Now, bombing a school is not a big deal. I'm sorry if people are like, bombing a school is not a big deal when that school doesn't have children in it. The structure doesn't hold any humanitarian value. The reason to bomb a school is because both Hamas and Hezbollah have repeatedly, through the training they received from the IRGC, learned to use these structures for military purposes. They do it with mosques. They do it with with churches as well. There are videos of an ever diminishing over the last 20 years community of Christians admitting that Hamas has been using their churches, threatened them, and used their churches to fire from. So bombing a school, if it doesn't hold children, doesn't mean anything. Which is, yes, you bomb schools when they are structures that are being converted to be used for military purposes. That's the Geneva Convention, by the way. The Geneva Convention says that once a structure is converted to be used for military purposes, it loses its protected status. This is what Hamas does. Hamas uses hospitals, uses schools, uses churches, uses mosques for military purposes. The whole of the Gaza Strip over the last 20 years have been converted into one big military compound for this very reason. So that people who are dumb, like the guy on the right, will say, "Oh, but you're bombing a school," because apparently the value of the humanitarian value of a school is the purpose that the structure serves in regular times. That's not the case, and this is stupid. The whole argument is stupid. Now, I have, if we want, I can quickly find, while other people respond, I can quickly find incontrovertible proof that Hamas has been using these kinds of structures for military purposes. So bombing a school is not a big deal if it doesn't actually have children in that moment.
Can I add to that from the military perspective?
Can I just ask Guy a question before you start? Guy, wouldn't it be also justified to bomb an area or a school, even if there are children in it, if the consequences of you not doing so, based on what's in there right at that moment, would be more children dying than the children that are there?
Yes. So generally speaking, a proportional response is not doing to the other person what they've done to you, like Piers Morgan keeps saying, even though he's been told repeatedly that that's not what it is, and therefore, like, proving he's not a good faith actor, because he keeps saying, well, Israel's response was disproportionate. Well, Israel's response should not be to do what Hamas did to the people in October 7th. Should they grape and do all that stuff and behead people? Is that what Israel should do because that's what Hamas did? That's stupid. A proportional response is a response that's proportional compared to the goals of the war. Once you are in a just war, which Israel was and has been ever since October 7th, a proportional response or a proportional action in war is an action that has a reasonable level of collateral damage, which is it's a murky definition compared to the military objectives it achieves. So, for example, killing Mohammed Dif, like the basically the chief of staff for the Hamas military, would be allowed even if he's surrounded by a certain number, up to there's a limit, but a certain number of civilians, because it would hasten the end of the war to such an extent that at the end of the day less people will die, including on the Palestinian side, by the way. So and when he was killed, he actually didn't have any civilians surrounding him. They keep saying that everyone who's dead is a civilian, and the media keeps eating it up. That's just not the case. Mohammed Dif was killed in a military compound that was built in an enclave outside of a refugee camp. So it was meant to look like, oh, they just shot in the middle of the refugee camp. No, we shot a military compound in the middle of a refugee camp that only had military personnel in it. So even in that case, that's not what happened. But the target is what justifies the collateral damage that's allowed. And so depending on what's happening in the school, you're allowed to do that. But Israel doesn't do that. Even if a school has children in it, then the IDF would bomb specifically the one room in that school that is used as a command center.
Okay, Monkey?
Yeah, using a school is against international law. You can't use a school and then complain, "Oh my God, they bombed the school." Using a hospital is against international law. You can't use a hospital and then, "Oh my God, they bombed the hospital." Using a refugee camp is against international law. It's against the Geneva Convention. So you can't start by breaking these laws and then say, "Oh my God, they did an illegal thing." That doesn't make any military sense. Another point is, well, I think you already said it. Like, it doesn't matter if some civilians die. Actually, the children would benefit if a school being used by Hamas gets destroyed, especially if they're not there, because that means you can't call them into school tomorrow while Hamas operations are going on underneath. You hit the school at night when no one is there, no kids are there. You destroyed the base of Hamas that is under that school, and you save the kids from being in a war zone. So you're protecting children by bombing these places while no kids are there, because you're removing them from the place where Hamas is putting them, because it's Hamas that's putting them in the danger zone because they want to operate out of a school. Am I right
Yep.
about this,
Can I-
guy?
Yes. Can I share a picture from
Yes, of course.
the recent war? Okay.
Yep.
One second. Okay, so I need to remove the current screen.
Yes.
I can't do that. So Armin, can you?
Here, I'll just do it for you. There you go.
Okay. This is a nursery school. You can see based on the walls, they have Disney characters. This is actually not Mickey Mouse. This is Farfur. We can talk about Farfur some other time. But this is a nursery school for like toddlers. This is the entrance to a terror tunnel. Okay? This building was bombed. This is a school that was bombed when it was empty because it was used as a terror base with an entrance, a huge entrance, by the way, to a terror tunnel. This is not like a manhole. This is, you can pass a lot of munitions and stuff through here, including RPGs and whatever you want. This is the war. These are the people that Israel has been dealing with. This is what Hamas is. Okay? They built tunnels under nursery schools to use them as a tool for war. Because in their eyes, every child that would die as a result of this is a martyr. So they're doing them a favor. These are sick people. You're not dealing with regular people from the West that you're used to. Okay? You have to understand this. Now, this is just one example out of many. I can find others, but I think this shows it very well. So yeah,
this is a great demonstration. Great demonstration. And just to add to that, Ali from inside Iran also commented saying من خودم معلمم تو ایران مدارس رو تعطیل کردن و نیروی امنیتی و نظامی بردن توش هنوز هم اونجا. He's saying I'm a teacher inside Iran. They closed down schools and they moved the military forces into those schools, and they're still there. So he's also providing.
Hamas learned this from the IRGC. A lot of commanders in Hamas have been trained by the IRGC.
Yeah. Sid, did you want to add anything?
Yeah. So I think that my frustration with this whole discourse is that Hamas is very open about their use of human shields, among many other war crimes. So they're open about it because they know that they're not going to receive the scrutiny that Israel does. So there is like an asymmetric scrutiny that happens here. Now we just look at like, okay, for example, Guy has this, he can show examples. and there are many other cases on the other side, like the Palestinian Authority and Hamas will literally name schools after people who kill civilians. They will literally name schools after people who've achieved nothing beyond killing civilians. Okay, so this is, I mean, this is very, very different culture. Now, Israelis will often respond saying, okay, you know, this guy was saying, oh, you said the IDF is the most moral army in the world. Well, maybe that's hyperbolic, but the IDF do various measures to minimize the harm to civilians. They do roof knocks, they do leaflets, they do calls, and so on. Right? They facilitate humanitarian aid. They create humanitarian corridors. People will often respond to this by saying, "Well, you know, like if you're dead, who cares, right?" But here's the problem with that. You look just across the border in the last 15 years in Syria, you got 500,000 dead, 12 million displaced. That's like 14 Nakbas worth of displacement. Okay, just in the last 15 years. Okay. Were there any roof knocks? Were there any humanitarian corridors? Were there any leaflets? Were there any calls? Was there any facilitation of humanitarian aid by any of the combatants? By Assad, by Hezbollah, by ISIS? Was there any? Okay, so when I say 500,000, 500,000 dead, I'm talking about significantly more than all of Israel's wars put together, including Gaza and Lebanon and Iran. None of those things happened at all, and there is zero scrutiny because it comes down to who is allowed to conduct war and who is not allowed to conduct war. And this is the environment that we're in right now, where basically you're saying, Israel, you're not allowed to conduct war. You're not allowed to conduct war because look, this is what happened. This school was bombed. So you're not allowed to conduct war. They are allowed to conduct war. They are allowed to bomb schools. They are allowed to kill civilians. They are allowed to practice zero-calorie sieges. They are allowed to do that. And what does it mean if they're allowed to fight war and we're not allowed to fight war? What does that mean? It means we lose and they win.
So a few more things to say. First of all, what's 24? You can stop spamming this comment. I'm going to respond to it now. What about the rape of prisoners in Israeli prisons? This has never happened. The worst accusation that had some level of credibility is that soldiers did some form of torture to one specific individual who was there on October 7th and did some heinous crimes and would have deserved all of it. And even that ended up being false. So there was, the other accusation in the New York Times that Israel taught dogs to do something that's literally impossible to teach dogs to do. So neither accusation, this, as is stated, never happened. The one slightly, somewhat, it took a while for it to come out that it never happened accusation was that there was torture of a specific individual who did, I don't want to say on stream what they did, but needless to say, torture is the least of what they deserve. Okay, so that's with regards to that. I would like
just to be clear for YouTube that we're against cruel and unusual. We're against torture,
yes.
Right? So, yes, okay. Just want to be
it's something that you can't do moral grandstanding about. It's not something you should that should happen. Those soldiers were, because of that suspicion, those soldiers were investigated because you're not supposed to do that. You know, it's against the law to do that. You can't just do vigilante justice. But you can moral grandstand about this poor victim who murdered God knows how many people.
Guys, I know sometimes I do this and it seems ridiculous. I just know how big of a threat our channels like these are under. So I have to just make sure that we protect our platform. So sorry if it sounds ridiculous. It's just what I have to do. Right.
Can I talk about the American guy a second? Because he was just going full on. Oh, Gaza. I gotta care so much about the Gazans and Gaza and the Gaza. If you're America first and you're saying, look, I don't want my money over there, I don't want my people over there, that is not the same thing about crying about Gazan schools. So you can't position yourself as all I care about America, America first, and all you do constantly is talk about Israel. If you're America first, and I don't know, 90% of the countries you talk about, of the country you say is Israel, it's not America, you're not America first. I don't know this guy, but I can almost bet money that if I go into what he talks about, most of it is Israel. I don't think he's America first.
Yes.
I don't think he's talking about it. Most of these America first people are just right-wing concern trolls, right? Working for the Hamas agenda, working for the Qatar agenda, the Saudi agenda in the NGO system. I think they're subversively paying into super chatting. I don't know how they do it, but they have nothing to do with America's interest when they're crying over Gaza, arguing over Gaza, crying about Palestine. I am so sick of their shit. And I want all Americans here and everywhere to recognize them as fucking traitors. It's what they are. This person crying about, like, people. What about the rape in American jails? You don't care about the rape in American jails? What about the Mexican jails? There's a lot of rape in a lot of jails. Why are we talking about this one? Because you have one concern. Palestinians. You don't care about anyone else on earth. So
not even Palestinians, Mike. Not even. No, Mike.
Not
You're
even.
so right. But they don't even care about them. They're
That's a good
using
point.
them. They're using them. They actually want them to continue to suffer because they're invested in their suffering. But yeah, but great points.
The biggest non-Palestinian group I know who actually cares about Palestinians are Israelis. Like, not all Israelis, but a lot of the Israelis. Like, if you actually care about Palestinian lives, you would not support Hamas. You would not suppose the PA, the corrupt PA that makes money out of keeping Palestinians in poverty. Because if they're out of poverty, then the PA will not have justification for getting more donations. Hamas, like, you don't need to say much. If you want to know about Hamas from someone who was actually in Gaza, go look up Ahmed Fuad Al Khatib. Let's see if I have his channel here. I'll post the name in the chat. An actual Gazan, like, peace activist. He lost a lot of his war in the war. Okay, so this is the guy. He left Gaza. He did a jubilee, basically against the pro-Palestine Westerners whom he hates, talking about Hamas. And so if you actually care about Palestinians, this is not the way to support Palestinians. Palestinians don't like the Palestinian Authority. The Palestinian Authority keeps Palestinians under chains. There's an excellent interview. I'll put it in the chat as well. And we can maybe add it to the description or something. If you want to hear what a Palestinian actually thinks, a long form conversation, 43 minutes between an Israeli settler, a great person called Joseph Cohen from the Israel Advocacy Movement. He has a channel. Highly recommend it. This is the video.
I'll put it in the description.
Yeah, I'll send the link to Armin as well. You want to hear what a Palestinian thinks? Go listen to this conversation. Now, this video that I have shared here is absolutely crucial. This is, oh, and by the way, we mentioned how Palestine, like, the things that people say, the most bad things that people say about Ben Gvir are, like, to the left of the average Palestinian officer. Like, Ben Gvir allegedly venerated a Jewish terrorist. Okay, the Palestinian Authority calls streets after the names of terrorists who did nothing but kill civilians and innocent people in Israel. So if you are so distraught by Ben Gvir, you should be distraught by every single Palestinian politician on both Hamas and the PA. Okay, now this video is one such politician from Hamas. This is their former Minister of the Interior called Fatih Hamed. And it's from 18 years ago. Okay, this is a video from 18 years ago. You can't blame this on AI. And if any of you speak Arabic, you'll know that what the captions say is what's actually said here.
Do you want to pause and read the captions?
أن الشعب الفلسطيني قد طور من موته
The Palestinian people. Okay, so the enemies of Allah do not know that the Palestinian people have developed their methods of death and death seeking. For the Palestinian people, death has become an industry. At which women excel, and so do all of the people living on this land. And again, I speak Arabic. This is 100% an accurate translation of what he's saying. The elderly excel at this, and so do the mujahidun, the soldiers, and the children. This is why they formed human shields of the women, the children, and the elderly, and the mujahideen, in order to challenge the Zionist bombing machine. It is as if they were saying to the Zionist enemy, we desire death like you desire life. Okay? Now tell me, how the hell are you supposed to fight a war with this enemy without any civilian casualties, which is what the expectation is out of Israel? The expectation is not just you should have low civilian casualties. It's essentially whenever a civilian dies in the war between Israel and Hamas, this is on Israel, not on Hamas for starting the war and then creating the conditions that make it impossible for civilians to not die, but on Israel. So there's no, this has been true 18 years ago. It's still true today. This person has been minister right up until the war started. This isn't like an old, out of touch. Look up Fathi Hamad. You can Google him. See how relevant he was to the Gazan government. Okay, this is the name. Maybe it has two M's. It's possible that it has two M's. I think it has two M's. But this is the enemy that Israel has been dealing with in war over the last several decades, but specifically in the war over the last 3 years. And I'll send Armin another link because people have asked me to put this somewhere so that it's locatable.
Okay.
Oh,
you're gonna share that as well?
Yeah, I'm gonna share it. But just so you have it, so you can put it in the description, especially because this is gonna be clipped. Because I'm very, very passionate about this. So all the links that we're talking about now, I'll send them to Armin, so they'll be in the description of the video that comes out of this. Based on Gaza Ministry of Health's own statistics, proportional distribution of Gaza fatalities by age and gender versus total. Okay, since October 7th, starting October 7th until May 7th, 2026, which is to say, almost a year after the hot war has ended, and now you have like eliminations, like we've had a couple today of officers in Islamic Jihad and in Hamas. Okay, the gray is the total population based on the demographic. Okay, here I have ages. These are women. These are men. Okay, the actual bars that are colored are the fatalities in those groups in the war in total, by the way, because Hamas also doesn't distinguish between natural deaths and like all deaths since October 7th. No one died of disease. No one died of old age. Everyone who has died because of Israel, based on Hamas statistics. So here we have, look at how many people how many children, female children have died, way less than their distribution of the population, because Gaza is a very, very young society. They have a lot of children, so the demographic, the median age is very low. And for men also, up until the age of 14, it's below. But then at the age of 15, aka what the UN would call a child, when they start having soldiers, like that's 14 and 15 is when they start having soldiers. Like people can start being official Hamas soldiers. Okay. But the UN would still call this a child. So when you hear 20,000 children, notice that the vast majority of them are in these two categories. So 15, it may be also they counted as like under 21, maybe. I'm not sure exactly what they call it, but regardless, children soldiers are very, very common. And so you have here fighting age males are by far the most dead demographic in the last 3 years. Way beyond their share of the population, which is to say discriminate bombing. So the people who are targeted are people who are more likely to be Hamas operatives. And we see that like it only starts when they start becoming soldiers.
Just for people to understand, based on Hamas's own numbers, it shows that not everybody is dying at the same rate. Based on their own numbers, it shows that the people who are most likely are fighting are the ones who are dying the most, which shows that Israel is not just killing everybody. That's basically what you're getting at.
Yes. Yeah.
Overwhelmingly military-aged men.
Yes. Overwhelmingly military-aged men are the people who have died in this war.
Okay. Great points. Okay. Sid, you haven't spoken. Did you, Sid, and then Mikey? Do you guys want to add anything to this?
Yeah. So I did have something I wanted to say, and I forgot. So go to Monkey. Maybe I'll remember.
Okay, Monkey.
I agree. Like, I really can't add a lot because you are being very precise in your data. You have a lot of evidence to your claims. And, so they're not really claims. You're just, exposing these people for what they are and their tactics. It's a little difficult to market. You can't just turn this into like a sound bite, but we can workshop that. That we can work on it. But as far as like what you're showing, yeah, I'm on board. I agree completely.
No, I think that was really great. That was really good. Great. I think that was very educational, and I think a lot of people appreciated that. Yeah.
And if we want, I can show videos of actual soldiers with holding RPGs and Hamas venerating 15-year-old mujahideen. So
let's do that next time. Let's see what Sid has to say. And I don't, Guy, I don't know if you have time for another video because it's Israel related. Let me know if you have more time. Do you have more time?
It's a bit like I'm on the edge, but let's see the video and then I'll see how long it will take me to respond to it.
Okay, Sid, go ahead.
Okay, just quickly, I would say thinking about Syria, right? The last 15 years, civil war in Syria. How often do you think the combatants in the Syrian civil war practiced human shields? Now, I don't know the answer to that, but my guess is they probably didn't bother because it's not going to do anything. So human shields are used in the case of Israel because Israel is sensitive to killing civilians, and in a way that Assad and Hezbollah and ISIS are not. So it's just not, it's not a valuable tactic. It's not to say that they didn't endanger civilians, but they would do so. This is my guess. They would do so just casually, not deliberately, because it just doesn't work as a deliberate strategy. It's really only used against Israel because Israel doesn't want to kill civilians.
I want to quickly respond to one comment here. Ian Dixon. I do think sometimes Israel is a bit reckless and don't take the care that other Western nations do in bombing civilian areas. It's not that they're deliberately trying to kill them, I'm sure. This is absolutely not true. No other country in history has ever dropped leaflets telling civilians to evacuate an area that's about to be bombed, losing the military advantage of surprise, which Israel has done constantly throughout the 3-year war in Gaza. Not only is it on the same level of other armies, it's way above and beyond other armies. Armies have, because military experts actually know what's going on and they understand that this is war, people have invited Israeli officials to military academies to explain how they did such a good job compared to the conditions in fighting in Gaza. And so you have some people like John Spencer, who's great, who's a military expert, explaining these things. And actual military experts secretly know this, and they invite Israel on campus to talk about this stuff. But it's just not, it's taboo to talk about. And I think one of the reasons that you think this is because of the kind of bad rhetoric that Trump has been using and Vance have been using, saying, oh, Israel is bombing the whole building. Why do they have to bomb the whole building? Well, first of all, they usually don't bomb the whole building. And when they do, unless it's very, very, very special circumstances, they tell people to evacuate ahead of time. And the reason they bomb the building is because there's munitions hitting all throughout the building or at the basement of the building, in which case you just have to collapse the building. There's no other way to do it. They should not have put it in the basement if they care about the building.
Okay. So guys, we got a lot of super chats, but I want to make sure that we could get this video before Guy leaves. First. Okay, so and then we'll go do the super chats.
By the way, we had confetti during I didn't want to stop my thing, but there was confetti. So.
Oh. Well, thank you. You're appreciating it. Okay. All right. So the caption says, in less than 150 seconds, Bill Maher explains how Israel gave back Gaza to the Palestinians in 2005. And instead of turning it into Dubai, they chose Hamas and wanted war. They refused every peace deal Israel offered them. Okay, so let's watch this.
I know you have your problems, John, but I live here in Hollywood. I have to live amongst people, most of whom who think it's cool to wear the kafaya to the Oscars and to say, free Palestine, as if Palestine would be liberated by living under Hamas. By the way, Israel, geniuses educated on TikTok, was liberated in 2005 by Israel. Israel gave it back and said, here, you have your land again. You do something with it. And this is what they did with it.
Yeah, I mean,
they made it into a fortress, didn't spend it on the people or turning it into any sort of, it could have been Dubai.
I agree. And I sat with Bill Clinton. We were campaigning in Harris. And I was like, hey, thanks for your work. And Clinton, he reminds, it's like, yeah, we offered them 96% of the West Bank. And East Jerusalem was the capital. Here you go. For 25 years, they could have rebuilding that into Dubai or whatever that they want. They did not want a two-state solution. Their one-state solution, as you always point out, like
from the river
to the sea, what's in there? Exactly.
I mean, just look at a map. We know where the river is.
Look at the map. Look at the map.
Yeah. As if these kids know what a map is or would know how to look at it. Yeah. They don't. Again, it's especially frustrating out here because people out here, they're actors. So they just want a cause. Yeah. They want to do something about free Palestine.
Identify.
But that's as far as they've looked into it. They don't look past the buzzwords. They're talented. They're not bright.
Name the one pro-Israel band that played at Coachella. They started their set. Israel or whatever. It does not exist, but there's constant kinds of Yeah.
There's an Irish.
Those assholes kneecap or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
And they even went to Cuba as if Cuba hasn't. As if Cuba hasn't suffered enough.
Yeah.
And Irish rap group.
Yeah.
So I think what people need to understand is that the Palestinian cause and the axis of resistance has never been about liberating Palestine to begin with, right? It's about these are people who, if they had to choose between watching Jewish children die and watching their own children prosper, they will always choose watching Jewish children die. Always. It's not about liberating Palestine. It's not about getting a nation state. It's about destroying Israel and eventually destroying the rest of the world. That's what it's about. This is why they would never accept a two-state solution, even if you give them here. People say like, oh, you get even if you give them 99% of that entire area, and like, here's a new deal: two-state solution. The Jews get 1%, and you get 99%. But you have to accept that 1%. They would say no to that deal.
That's not an exaggeration.
Yeah. By the way, and Guy can confirm this. This is my understanding, Guy. The popular slogan "From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free" is an obfuscation. It's a mistranslation of what the popular slogan is in the Arab world, which is "From the water to the water, Palestine will be Arab."
Yes. So it's sometimes from the river to the sea. But either way, it doesn't sound as bad, like as good. It's a rhyme, right? So in Arabic it would be من البحر إلى النهر فلسطين حرية would be free. Doesn't really rhyme. But Palestine Arab or
Arabi.
So it should be Arabiya. But let me actually find the original. So, but yes, it's Palestine will be Arab, not Palestine will be free. It's Palestine will be Arab, meaning there will be no Jews between the river and the sea, meaning the Jews will be eliminated in some form or fashion.
Yeah, or perhaps Jews will be dhimmi or whatever. But the point is that the freedom is not the objective, right? Freedom is how it's sold. Freedom is how the Palestinian resistance movement is sold to Western audiences. Okay, they're not asking for freedom. They're not interested in freedom. They show it over and over again. They don't hold elections, right? They don't care. They don't. So, like, you just look at like what's going on in Palestinian Authority controlled areas or in Hamas controlled areas where there are no elections, right? People say that Israel is denying them their political rights. No, their political rights are being denied by their own politicians, and they're not even complaining about it because it's not interesting to them. It is not of value to them. So that's a lie. That's a lie that they're interested in freedom. They're not. It's not reflected in their in the rhetoric of their politicians. It's not reflected in their popular slogans, and it's not reflected in their behavior. There's just no interest in freedom at all. The interest is to dominate. The interest is that territory should be Arab controlled.
Can I quickly touch on the thing that they're talking about? They're talking about Coachella. They're talking about American artists, Hollywood, all these performative people that claim they care about Hamas but don't understand their slogans. They don't understand anything you're talking about here. They haven't even heard it, right? Now, the problem with these performative two-faced hypocrites is that they don't actually care about anything but your strict adherence to the now. Because yesterday is not today, right? You can show them clips of Obama saying the exact same thing Trump says, and they don't care. They'll just disconnect from it, call it AI, or refuse to even look at it, right? So they don't care about women if the women are in Iran. They don't care about Muslims if the Muslims are in China, right? They don't care about gays if the gays are in Gaza. They don't care. They don't care about any of this. They don't care. They want to adhere to a status quo. They want to be part of the in group. And because it's like before you had royalty and the monarchy, right? All of these nobility would go out and do performances and talk to the people and try to get them on board a little bit. And kind of like claim that they're blue blood, and this is why you should follow what I say, because now they use celebrity, and through celebrity they want you to adhere to this ideology, and you have to be in line because that's just what the celebrity says. What the celebrity says contradicts itself constantly. These are a bunch of hypocrites. No one is illegal on illegal land. Which one was that one? The blonde chick.
Billie
Eilish.
Billie Eilish. Yeah, no one
Billie
is illegal
Eilish,
on stolen land.
Right? Oh, okay. Then we have these Native Americans that were from this area. No, get them off my land. Right. So this is all performative Hollywood bullshit. And I am glad that more and more Americans are getting sick and tired of these idiotic celebrities' performative bullshit. And you know why they do it? They don't even believe it. They don't even care. But they know if they say the wrong thing, they're not going to get the role. They're not going to get cast because they got a little socialist blacklist. And if you don't say the message, you're not going to get a part.
So, guys, I have to go in a second. So, we're going to quickly wrap up things that I have, and then you'll continue after I'm gone. Okay.
Sounds good.
So, real quickly, Draco is saying, can you imagine the infrastructure built instead of tunnels? So much wasted life and treasure for hate. This is true in Hamas. This is true of the IRGC. It's the same underlying ideology, even though one's Shia, one's Muslim, one's Sunni. But this is true. Like, the reason Iran is in such a bad state right now economically is because of this same ideology. Hamas has been doing this for 20 years. The Islamic Republic has been doing this for almost 50. And another comment, what's 24? Again, the guy, the person talking about the rapes and so on. What is the story behind Israel's claim regarding Judea and Samaria in the West Bank? Isn't what is happening in the West Bank a form of religious extremism? So the West Bank is an area in Jewish history called Judea and Samaria. That's the area. And a lot of the Arabic names reflect this. For example, Jenin is actually an Arabization of the name Beit Ganim, which is a Jewish Hebrew name. Now, there are a few hundreds or up to like 1,000 of extremists in the West Bank who are doing bad stuff. And that's out of hundreds of thousands of people who live there peacefully, who also condemn this behavior. As you can see, Mike Huckabee talked about this, and the people in charge of the settlements in the West Bank have also condemned this form of violence consistently. It's hard to deal with because you have to do extrajudicial stuff like using Shin Bet to do to find these people, because unfortunately they have like really good lawyers, and then they you arrest them and then they don't talk in the investigation, and they're always covered, and it's really hard to find them. These are children from displaced homes who just moved to the hilltop and started doing stuff there. They're completely misguided, but also they don't have any relatives. It's hard to pinpoint who they are and where they are exactly, unfortunately. But there are, like, this year, Israel has devoted 130 million shekels, I think, either shekels or dollars, which is a 3 times difference. Either way, a lot of money to specifically focus on this problem of these very few rotten apples in the West Bank out of the settlers who are doing this stuff. Okay. And with that, I have to go. There's another video, Armin. You can, if you want to show it, if you have time later, feel free to show it.
We'll show it when you're back. You're coming tomorrow as well?
Tomorrow is Monday, right? I don't think there should be a problem. Yes, I can come tomorrow, and I'll have to leave around the same time. Yes.
Okay, guys.
Great. Okay,
Guy's channel is in the description. So make sure you go subscribe to his channel. Everyone's channel. I mean, Sid's channel is still not there. Once he changes the branding and everything, Sid's channel will also be in the description. But right now, Monkey's channel is in the description. Guy's channel, Ali's channel, they're all in the description. So make sure you go subscribe to all of them.
And thank you. And if anyone happens to be interested in learning Hebrew, I actually have an online course. That's a way to support me now until I get monetized. You can go check it out. A lot of people, like a surprising number of people from my streams, have already went in and bought it. So I figured it's worth at least mentioning. It's hebleo.com, hebleo.com. Online course teaching Hebrew. I've been teaching for almost 10 years, so it's based on that experience. And yeah, thank you, everyone. I'll see you tomorrow. And Javid Shah.
Javid Shah, I'm Israel Chai. Thank you. Okay, so. Right, let me put the guy down. But before we go to the next video, I do want to respond to some super chats first. Let me remove the stars here. Okay, there we go. PRG is saying, hello, everyone. Well, hello, and thank you for the super chat.
Hello.
And then Zipgun with the super chat saying, Geneva Conventions are built around morals not shared by Islam. Dead children are martyrs. By putting them in harm's way, they are doing them a favor. Yes, according to Islam. Let's be clear, according to Islam. Yes, 100%. By the way, guys, everything you saw from Hamas talking about celebrating death and we will love death more than life. That is not Hamas. That is Islam. That is completely based on the teachings of the Quran. Just wanted to make that clear. And thank you, Zipgun. You're yeah, that is 100% their standing. So Benji is saying Vance is anti-Semitic. I don't know if he is, and honestly, even if he is, I didn't think like that is the best argument against him, because even if he is, the best way to confront what Vance is saying is to show what he's saying is not true, rather than making that accusation. I think I know Monkey agrees with me on that. You said you also like. What do you guys think about this? I don't think this is helpful to go. If he's making a wrong statement, we could just demonstrate why it's wrong instead of going there. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I would say just in general, because this comes up a lot. My interest is, I have a deep interest in Israel, and I find actually the accusation of anti-Semitism to be a kind of a conversation killer. So there are anti-Semites, and anti-Semites tend to hate Israel. I mean, this is just the truth. But there are a lot of people who genuinely don't hate Jews, but have been sort of manipulated and brainwashed into thinking that Israel is particularly evil and a unique evil in the world. And so I want to challenge them. And I want to discuss Israel without the accusation, without the personal accusation. So I don't really know what's in Vance's heart or what he thinks of Jews in general. But I think that, like, at least his rhetoric on Israel has been off. And I think has been downstream of a long-term manipulation campaign by the likes of the IR and the Muslim Brotherhood and so on. And the Soviet Union, even. So, yeah. I mean, I guess I am inclined to agree with Armin that, to me, it's kind of irrelevant what's in his heart, what he thinks of Jews. But his rhetoric on Israel, I think, needs to be challenged, because I think it's really it really reflects a very kind of naive analysis.
Yeah. So let me be clear. When it comes to overall causes and movements, I'm completely fair to for me, it's completely justified to say there's anti-Jewish hatred motivating a lot of these narratives, right? And there's a lot of the reason why all of this is happening is because of that agenda. But when it comes to individuals, I rather not make any claims about what their. I mean, I try. Sometimes I fail. Not to make any claims about their motivations, unless they make it very, very clear to me. I try to not make, and I just basically deal with whether or not what they're saying is true. Right?
Yeah.
What I would say about this is we are sick of hearing that fucking word. We are sick of hearing about World War II. We are sick of being called Nazis and anti-Semites. So every time, if you're going to talk to a conservative and you use this word, we fucking hate it. We're fucking sick of it. We're sick of being called Nazis. We're sick of being called anti-Semites, right? So if there's conservatives and you want to convince conservatives to go against J.D. Vance, that's not going to work. That is absolutely not going to work. What would work is you saying he's an isolationist, and isolationism is bad for America. That works. We don't want to be isolationist. I want American power. I don't want us to go into the little corner and have another superpower do evil things across the world and it gets to the point that we can't fight them. I don't want to share the world with their evil values. I don't want to be an isolationist. But the constant mention of Nazis, Americans have been called the Nazis for a decade. It's gotten to the point that the word is meaningless. We've been called anti-Semitic. We've been like these kind of things. Like, let's get to the point. How does this affect America? How does this, like, if you're talking to an American, this is like, if you're the J.D. Vance is anti-Semitic, that may play in Israel. That does not work well in America.
All right, so let me go through the rest of this fast, because I want to make sure that we have time for this. Actually, let me read this as well. Amir was saying, I agree with Sid, but Sid, you really interested in Israel? That's cool. I'm being you're married to an Israeli, right, Sid?
Yeah, that's right. I've been married to an Israeli for 25 years, and I have been to Israel many, many times. It's like a second home to me. So it holds a very special place in my heart. And I would just say beyond that, through my wife, and I have so many good Israeli friends, really dear Israeli friends and family. And it's through that experience that I know how much people lie about Israel, and how much my own experience defies what a lot of the common accusations are. So yeah, I guess I'm fortunate in the sense that I've had this experience, but I would say that yeah, it's a real tragedy, that the volume of hatred and anti-Israel rhetoric is so high that Israel is constantly on the defense, when it really has a lot to be proud of and a lot to teach the world. There's a lot of great accomplishment and great sort of culture that Israel has to offer. A lot of positive, and it's doing that. But so much is focused on the negative, and so much of the negative is based on lies.
Right.
Well, I'm jealous.
All right,
You guys have both been there. I haven't been there. I'm a little too old for an Israeli wife, but I would like to visit someday.
Well, you're gonna come with me, Monkey, and we're gonna do a tour.
All right, let's do it.
Okay, that sounds fun. All right, guys. We got GV. Okay, GV just gave us a lot of joules. 2 joules over here, another 2 joules over here, another 2 joules over here, 10 joules, 10 joules, 10 joules, 30 joules. Let me just remove the stars here. 30 joules, and then another 200 joules. Thank you so much for all the joules. And then we've got a super chat here by Zipgun saying he's not unhinged. Who? Sanity. Who are we talking about here? Sanity is a function of the community in that guy. That okay, I don't know who we're talking about. Are we talking about the Hamas guy? Sanity is a function of the community in Islam. Believing that life is more important than martyrdom is insane. Yes, you're right. According to Islamic teaching, that should be the norm. Celebrating life is basically believing in delusions and in something that is not worth investing your time in. It should be about the afterlife. According to the Quran has clarified this many, many, many times. And most Muslims don't know this. Most Muslims say like, hey, do you think Islam celebrates life? They'll be like, yes, of course. And we're like, okay, you haven't read the Quran. And thank you, Zipgun. Thank you for the super chat. And then we got, GB gave us 700 joules. Wow, thank you. That's very sweet. And then another 30, and then another 2, and then another 2. And then Barbara gave us 2 joules. Thank you so much, Barbara. Appreciate your support. All right. Do we have enough time for this video? Okay, let's do this video now. I'll just quickly play it and then get your opinions on it.
Acknowledging that people making less than $1 million could see their taxes go up. I just want to be very clear. Is that a yes?
I'm saying that we'd be paying for healthcare in a different way.
Are you in favor of public ownership models like the one Bernie introduced?
So I want to actually take it a step further.
Okay.
I agree that we need public ownership, but I also agree that we need some system of public control.
Do police really need to use guns? Do we need as much of a police force?
James, do police really need to use guns? I mean, some of this stuff is really crazy. You were just talking about this. Give me your take, though, on that race overall and the general temperature in the Midwest.
I think that race is going very well for Mike Rogers. Mike Rogers is a mainstream Republican who wants to do things like get the cost of prescription drugs down, something that President Trump has led the charge on for the last year and a half and has had success at. And Mike Rogers wants to finish that job and codify it. In fact, just this past week, the Washington Post, of all places, an outlet that is very reticent to give Republicans credit for anything, pointed out that we just saw the largest drop in prescription drug prices in over 60 years in this country.
Wow.
The fact is we're making progress, and we know we have more work to do. We want to finish the job. Meanwhile, you have a guy like El Said who says, look, we're going to raise your taxes and we're going to take away all your private health insurance. I mean, right now there's a gentleman from the UAW, the large auto workers union there in Michigan, making the rounds saying, I don't want you to take away my health insurance. I have good health insurance. Why would you do that? So it really comes down to moving forward the policies that have been working, but we need to finish the task on, or putting Democrats in charge who not only want to take us backwards, want to take us to really extreme far left areas that have never worked anywhere in the world, but certainly are not going to work in this country.
So looking at the numbers, so far right now, we according to Polymarket, we have Abdul El Sayed with a 56% chance to win Michigan Senate election. This in November, and Mike Rogers, which is the Republican, has a 45% chance. We have seen the gap between them drop, but if you look at all, we have a little bit. So if you look at all, you see the gap is closing really fast between them. So hopefully it will continue. But I just want to be careful, because if you just zoom in the past week, I mean, it's not okay. This is not that big of a deal. Okay, it's just going a little bit. It went from 55 to 46 to okay. Maybe I'm nitpicking, but yeah, that's just like a short term.
This is Polymarket, right? So this is not really a poll. This is like basically you can see if there's movement too much in one direction, then people will hedge. So
but I know this is an unpopular opinion. I believe in this more than polls, because polls capture now. Polymarket is people spending money based on analyzing many things, including polls, but they're putting their money on usually people who have more information invest more. Again, I'm not saying if you look at it historically, it's not 100% accurate, but betting markets have usually been better predictive tools than polls themselves, than just polls historically.
Okay, but you didn't let me finish. I actually agree with you.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I don't dispute that at all.
Okay,
My point is that because it's a betting market, right? What happens is if you have a lot of movement in one direction, some people will hedge, right? So that's a natural market behavior. So that last bit, where you see it moving in the other direction, slightly in the other direction, it could be just hedging. Okay, it may not be just it may not be new information. And that's just the way that the market work. But generally, I agree with you that the betting markets are better predictors than polls. And especially in Michigan, we just say in the primary, right? El Sayed was ahead in the polls by something like 20 points, and he ended up winning by less than 2. So yeah, I think you're right about your overall comparison of betting markets, prediction markets versus polls.
Look, I would add to this that Polymarket isn't the stock market. A lot of people do this like they're betting on a football team. They're putting $20 down. Like roughly 3% of accounts to be persistently skilled, informed traders. Bulk of users generate volume, but contributed relatively little. As far as like these aren't big traders. A lot of the people bet on it like they bet on a football team that they like. Like that doesn't mean a lot of them are informed. I would say, if most of the people that are betting, they're willing to put money down. It's like, I like this guy, so I'll put money on him. And they're putting more money. I would put credence on that. And I would also agree that it tends to be more reliable than polls.
I'll just add to that, Monkey. I think sorry, go ahead, Armin.
Just slight push, just a slight pushback, not too much of a pushback against it. The thing is that when in free markets, even if you have a lot of uninformed people, then the informed people take more advantage of the uninformed people. And when the price doesn't match reality, they will move more volume. They might be smaller in number, but if the people with higher volume come and set things off balance, then the informed people can see that this is not right, and they will move more money, and they will adjust for the uninformed people, and the uninformed people will be taken advantage of by the informed people. So there is an adjustment. And if it's free and accessible to everybody, then the uninformed information will be adjusted for. Not completely.
Like, would that balance it out? Because then they wouldn't win if it balanced it out.
I mean, the uninformed people would lose money to the informed people. The informed people will, if everybody was informed, then the uninformed people wouldn't be able to make much money because everything will be accurate. The uninformed people will come and make the price not match reality, and the uninformed people will come and take advantage of arbitrage and close the gap.
That doesn't lead to profit, though.
It leads to profit. In fact, because there's uninformed people, it leads to profit. If it was no uninformed people, then the
it doesn't lead to accuracy. Maybe I said it wrong. Like, if there's a whole bunch of people that inaccurately think that this guy is gonna win, and some other guy say, hey, those people are wrong, I'm going to bet against them, I may win the bet, but that means that the poll was wrong.
No, that would no. Okay, I'm gonna again. I wanted to just move to what Sid was gonna add, but like this is how markets work. Okay, so if something should be at 20, and then you go buy it and you make it 30, but the actual price should be 20, then the people who know the price should be 20 would sell it enough to go back to 20, so it will make it more accurate. Okay, but again, I don't want to discuss finance. Like, is that good enough? Can we go to Sid? Okay, that's it.
Okay, well, so I was just gonna respond to something that Monkey said about poly market versus equity markets. I actually think that equity markets work the same way, Monkey. So there are actually a lot of people who are putting money on stocks just because they kind of like the cut of their jib. And so there's plenty of sentiment inside the public markets. And that's kind of what Armin is talking about. So basically the people who are informed, or the people who have better models, are in a stronger position. This is basically like seeking alpha, right? Like what advantage do I have versus sort of the random or sentiment-based investor. But it depends on the sentiment-based investor to put money into the market. So if nobody puts...
Let's just keep it short about poly market and go back to how dangerous of a situation we're in if we lose this.
Okay, enough. I'm done.
Okay. No. If you wanted to finish your sentence.
No, I don't need to. I think I made my point.
Okay, sorry, I don't mean to be okay. Just both of you. I'm not being oppressive to both the monkey. I was trying to. Okay, it's okay. So, but both of you agree. Okay, so going back to politics rather than finance. It's my fault. Sorry, it's my fault. Both of you agree that this is such a big win or lose situation. Like, this is very binary, right? If we lose this, is a huge loss, and if we win this, it's a huge win, because it's a massive blow to the DSA, demonstrating that a blue state went red so that the DSA can't win, right? So if it's a win, it's going to be a big. If it's a win, it's going to be a big win for the United States, and if it's a loss, it's going to be a big loss. Am I over exaggerating this, or is this accurate?
Yeah, I think. I mean, I really don't want El Sayed to win, and I don't want him to have any influence on American politics. And I think that he's a bad influence, and I think that he represents strains in American politics that are essentially anti-American from different directions. So both the socialist side and the sort of let's say like Muslim side. If he wins, is it is it the end of the world? No, it's not. It's not good. I don't dispute that it's not good, but I still think, okay, it's one senator, and to some degree, I think it seems like there are people who are extremely invested in this happening, right? So increasing influence of socialists or socialist economy in the government, and they are aggrieved because they feel like their democratic choices are being undermined by the system. So whether it's the Democratic Party or whatever, and to some degree, I think that they may have to learn the hard way, like what's happening in New York City, right? Like, or in Seattle. They might have to learn the hard way that these policies don't work. I don't know, and I hope that's not the case. But I do feel like it seems like people are very invested in this ideology right now, and they're really not convinced by its historical record.
Okay, Monkey?
I think that when you look at the candidates on the Democrat side, the DSA is always a weaker candidate in the general. I think what they would do in office is pretty much the same. They're both for open borders. They're both for abolishing ICE. In fact, the DNC both said that ICE had to be abolished. This is their official message, and that they had to be reformed. Like if you look at the official DNC, they're going to do the same thing. In practice, they're going to do the same thing. But the DSA candidates tends to have a lesser chance. It is official on Fox News, on CNN, everywhere that they had this candidate hung, and 3 USB drives happened to disappear. And they had that same curve when Biden won, that it kind of like curved up and then put a straight line up. That exact same graphic is what showed for Han's competition. I forgot the name of the guy, went straight up. Like, we know that they cheat. And what they're starting to do is cheat against the DSA because they know they're weaker candidates. A lot of people say that they cheated Bernie Sanders out of his position in the election because he was a weaker candidate. It's not just us saying that it's weaker candidates, that America isn't that crazy. It's the DNC itself saying it. They're like, no, we want to do the same things, but we want to keep it hidden.
Yeah. So yeah, I want to add to that because Monkey is right. I actually saw, and maybe we can play it on another day, but I actually saw this. There's a conservative commentator, former politician Nick Freitas, who did this, who did a kind of like a prank on his video where he said, he's like, look at what the socialist candidate, the DSA approved candidate said about, immigration, about education, about race, about the economy and so on. He's like, oh, actually, that wasn't the DSA candidate. That was the so-called mainstream Democrat candidate. Now, I should add that I am not a conservative. I never identified as a conservative. So I think I'm sort of like ideologically kind of middle of the road. Let's say moderate centrist type of that's been my politics, generally speaking. But a lot of what's now sort of accepted in the mainstream Democratic Party, I really find extreme. Okay, so and this is kind of what Monkey was talking about. Like, yeah, there is an aesthetic difference between El Sayed and what it was, I forget her name, Haley something or other, the Democratic candidate, the other Democratic candidate that he was running against. There is an aesthetic difference. And it's often in like how extreme their rhetoric is, but on the policies, from a policy perspective, it's actually less difference than we realize. And I think what Monkey is alluding to is that how do they sell this extremism to the public? Do they sell it through El Sayed or do they sell it through an establishment Democrat? But it does seem like a lot of the positions are actually quite extreme across the mainstream Democratic Party.
All right, guys, we need to stop it right here because I don't want us to go over 3 hours. We're gonna, in 1 hour, we're going to be in our discussion group. We have daily group calls there. We're going to have our discussion over there. Monkey said, will you both be there?
Yes.
Yes. So
I'll
Sid
try
will
to
be
make
there,
it.
Monkey. Okay, sounds good. So, guys, today it's open. That means anybody can join without paying. It's open to all. So take advantage of that. Come there and talk to us. The link to this is in the description. It's also in the QR code in the top left corner of the screen. On Liberty Politics, we're going to be streaming our discussion. So if you're not in the group call, you could just listen to it on Liberty Politics YouTube channel. The link to the discussion group is also, by the way, in the bio section of Liberty Politics YouTube channel. Other than that, Monkey and Guy's YouTube channels are also in the description. Please go and support them. Ali's YouTube channel is also in the description. So subscribe to Ali, subscribe to Guy, subscribe to Monkey. Sid, when do you think we're gonna have your channel set up and ready and like everything in place?
I think I need like maybe 10-15 minutes of your time to finish the deal. So maybe we can do that in the next couple of days.
Okay, yeah, and I could do that anytime you want. Just let me know. We'll figure it out and do that anytime. We'll set it up. Okay, sounds good.
Sounds good.
All right, guys. So Sid's channel will also be in the description once we set that up as well. So you could go support him over there as well. Anything else you guys want to add before we close this off?
It was a lot of fun. Thanks for having me again.
Awesome. Okay, guys. See you guys. Either here on Liberty Politics in about an hour or in the discussion group on the group call. Either way, see you soon. And until and thank you for everybody who's liking the stream. Thank you guys. That really helps. I appreciate you guys. And until till then, Amazra Chai, Sava Ukrainie, Cuba Libre, Taiwan GIO, Long Live America, Javid Shah, Payende, Iran. Mwah. See you.
Peace.